Villains are born from primal ambition. They yearn to destroy civilization and plunge society into chaos. Jung Jin was one such being. His existence served only a single purpose. The classroom was shattered by bursts of loud, boisterous laughter and chatter. Jung Jin remained as still as a stone statue, ignoring his classmates who were excitedly discussing some old movie. The sounds of laughter and arguments mingled, like demonic whispers stabbing directly into his eardrums. He lazily raised an eyebrow, his cold, soulless gaze sweeping across the room. A sarcastic thought bubbled up. He judged them to be nothing more than a pathetic bunch. Instantly, Jung Jin's dark thoughts transformed the classroom into a hellish scene. Everything around him was stained, a blinding, deep crimson. He sneered and uttered a cruel remark. "This trash isn't worth saving. They're just in my way of finding the ruler of time." After speaking, Jung Jin glanced around, admiring the results he had just created one last time. The classmates who had just been laughing loudly were now all lying motionless on the floor. Even the school beauty, Jia Hyun, suffered the same fate, falling with her eyes wide open. But then, from that cold body, a sound echoed, calling his name. That voice suddenly yanked him back to the chaotic reality. The real flesh and blood, Jia Hyun, was right in his face, calling his name for attendance. Jung Jin only felt disgust, decisively turning his head to look away. The girl's blood boiled as she yelled, revealing the intense anger churning inside her. Jia Hyun then suddenly changed her tone, suggesting that Jung Jin had a crush on her. The constant nagging buzzing in his ear caused the killing intent within him to stir. Jia Hyun was completely unaware of the danger, still wearing a resentful expression. Just then, Sang Nam burst in cheerfully, calling out Jung Jin's name and shattering the tense atmosphere. He flashed a smile as bright as the morning sun, eagerly checking on his friend, despite his best friend not even glancing at him. Sang Nam chattered on, while Jung Jin impatiently muttered curses under his breath. Jia Hyun couldn't stand it anymore and sarcastically remarked that he gets ignored every time. So why bother being so eager? Hit where it hurt. Sang Nam let out a cold, disdainful snort. The two of them immediately launched into a fiery war of words to defend their own opinions. The noise gave Jung Jin a headache, so he boredly flicked his finger. He began to twirl his index finger, ignoring the argument next to him that was reaching its peak. The ballpoint pens in front of Jung Jin suddenly stood upright, as if pulled by an invisible force. Sang Nam, completely oblivious to the imminent danger, was still grinning from ear to ear. The moment he finished speaking, Jung Jin immediately shot a ballpoint pen like a weapon towards the target. Its terrifying speed turned it into a throwing dagger, piercing straight through the middle of Sang Nam's forehead. Jia Hyun, sitting right next to him, couldn't escape a similar fate. Having dealt with the noisy mess, Jung Jin casually cursed the two stupid chatterboxes. As soon as he finished speaking, the two still warm bodies collapsed into the aisle. The other students in the class were so scared they froze solid. All of them simultaneously showed expressions of absolute horror, but that state of shock didn't last long. Even Jung Jin could feel the tremors of the approaching time loop. He pondered for just a moment before letting himself be enveloped by that energy. The flow of time began to reverse. As slow as a cart rolling backward, it rewound past the moment Jung Jin made his move, back to when Jia Hyun was struck down, further still to the instant Sang Nam was hit, and finally stopped right as the two pens began to rise. In the end, everything stopped at the exact moment Jung Jin heard his name being called. His eyes became dull, as if this scene was all too familiar. Having to listen to Sang Nam's bland words again, Jung Jin was so angry he gritted his teeth. And of course, Jia Hyun approached again, preparing for another tense war of words. He didn't want his killing intent to be provoked again by this noisy mess. Jung Jin decided to get up and leave the classroom, leaving behind everyone's bewildered stares. The door slammed shut with a loud bang, clearly showing his extreme dissatisfaction. Sang Nam still clenched his fists, not backing down, determined to maintain their friendship. Jia Hyun's taunt that he was a nobody instantly deflated Sang Nam, as if doused with cold water. Unaware of any of this, Jung Jin was still striding alone down the silent hallway. He possessed overwhelming power, but right now, he was completely helpless. Every time Jung Jin killed someone, time was rewound by a mysterious entity. He swore he would find them, whoever they were, and kill them all. To break this hellish loop, Jung Jin had resolved to hunt them down and eliminate them, and he was certain he would succeed. Carrying countless questions, Jung Jin slowly walked along the corridor. He had experimented many times and determined that the time controller was not in his class. The result was the same when Zhang Jin tested the entire 9th grade. He decided to expand his scope to the 10th grade, and the freshman, he would find that person, even if he had to kill everyone one by one to test it. At some point, Zhang Jin found himself standing in front of a closed restroom door. Inside, a familiar bullying scene was taking place, with Junju as the victim. Just as Junju was lamenting his difficulties, he immediately received a punch to the gut from Hyun-soo. Hyun-soo and his friend, Cheon-hai, casually discussed cigarettes. They ignored Junju, who was trembling on the filthy floor. Though terrified, Junju still managed to force out a refusal to give them money. The response to Junju was a ruthless knee straight to the face. His whole body was thrown violently, slamming into the restroom wall. Hyun-soo scowled and made his final demand, ordering him to hand over 10 cigarettes. Junju frantically explained that he couldn't manage to get them. Hearing this, Hyun-soo immediately fixed his dark gaze on the victim. Hyun-soo flashed a fake smile and let out a curse. "Why don't you just drop dead? You bastard." Immediately after, the sounds of cursing and impacts echoed continuously in the small room. The sounds carried clearly outside, but absolutely no one intervened. Zhang Jin was unintentionally caught in the middle of this noisy mess, his face showing clear annoyance. He lowered his gaze and pressed his lips together, trying to suppress the rage that was about to erupt. In the end, Zhang Jin still decided to slowly approach Hyun-soo's little stage. Seeing a stranger intrude, Hyun-soo immediately glared with suspicion. Seeing the person get closer, Hyun-soo growled, demanding that he get lost immediately. However, Zhang Jin completely ignored the mosquito-like buzzing. Being ignored for the first time, Hyun-soo grew even more furious and bitter. Hyun-soo decided to spare his prey for the moment, turning his attention to the new, annoying target. Instantly, he grabbed Zhang Jin by the hair and slammed his head against the wall in a fit of rage. But the one being attacked, Zhang Jin, reacted with extreme indifference. Zhang Jin silently endured the insult, then calmly turned his head back. When Hyun-soo saw his opponent smirk, he furrowed his brows in confusion. He decided to throw a punch to teach this insolent guy a lesson. But Zhang Jin wasn't someone who could be attacked so easily. He just shot a sharp, cold glance, casting a deathly glare at Hyun-soo. Immediately after, he swung his arm, pushing back with immense force. Holding nothing back, Hyun-soo was sent flying, his back slamming flat against the wall. Much to Cheon-hai's astonishment, Zhang Jin remained standing firm in the same spot. Holding the pose from his attack, he coldly watched his opponent, who was now coughing up fresh blood. The bully staggered and then collapsed to the floor like a boneless puppet. In the blink of an eye, Hyun-soo had been knocked unconscious. While Cheon-hai rushed to check on his buddy, Junju stood frozen, terrified by Zhang Jin's power. He moved his lips for a long time, struggling to squeeze out a dry "thank you," but Zhang Jin just gave a mysterious smile, then turned his brutal gaze towards Junju. The victim flinched, looking up at him with eyes full of bewilderment and question. But to Zhang Jin, that reaction was still far too slow. Bright red blood splattered everywhere, staining the entire wall. He turned, radiating a menacing killing aura, and advanced straight towards Cheon-hai. His earlier arrogance vanished. Cheon-hai was in a state of utter panic, stammering and begging for his life. But before Zhang Jin could strike, the familiar sensation of time twisting washed over him again. The familiar, cruel smile was still frozen on his lips. Even though that smile began to distort under the pressure of the reversing timeline. In an instant, Zhang Jin was yanked back to the starting point. Hyun-soo's curses rang out again, everything repeating itself to a sickening degree. Hyun-soo approached from behind, grabbing Zhang Jin's hair and yanking his head back. He maintained a blank expression, but inside, he was screaming and cursing this damn loop. But then, Hyun-soo suddenly let go of Zhang Jin. He had just seen the name tag Kim Jong-jin on his chest. Hyun-soo curiously asked what class he was in, but Zhang Jin's indifferent attitude immediately pissed Hyun-soo off. In the end, Hyun-soo still chose to solve things with his fists. This time, Zhang Jin decided not to dodge, taking a full punch to the face. Seeing him not fight back, Hyun-soo got even more fired up, landing another punch on his other cheek. Zhang Jin stood still like a wooden statue, soullessly enduring the continuous attacks. That reaction seemed to make Hyun-soo even more excited. He just kept throwing punches until Zhang Jin started to stagger. He had to grab onto the sink to keep his body from collapsing. Zhang Jin lowered his head, telling himself to stay calm to lure out the time manipulator. Just then, a loud commotion caught his attention. It turned out Sang Nam had heard the noise and rushed in to get revenge for his friend. With just one powerful knee strike, he took down Hyun Soo instantly. Sang Nam clenched his fists, his posture burning with righteousness, ready for a fight. The rest of the gang saw their leader knocked out cold, and their faces turned pale with fear. Sang Nam paid them no mind, rushing over to worriedly check on Jong Jin. Although Jong Jin looked fine on the outside, he was in an extremely foul mood. Sang Nam was surprised to see the corner of Jong Jin's mouth twitch into a smirk. As if he'd discovered a new wonder of the world, he started to panic, frantically checking Jong Jin all over for any serious injuries. Jong Jin found it annoying and broke his usual silence to reassure Sang Nam that he was fine and wanted to go home. That request left Sang Nam stunned for a moment, and then he immediately brightened up. Sang Nam immediately turned around, happily giving Jong Jin a piggyback ride as they left. For a brief second, Jong Jin thought that maybe he should thank him, but he immediately dismissed the thought, reminding himself that he was the villain and couldn't afford to hesitate. A girl was lifting dumbbells in her room when she heard a noise and went to the door, calling out, "Who's there?" Jong Jin's voice came from outside the door. "I'm here to warn you. You're being too loud." The girl replied, confused, "I don't think I was being that noisy." The girl quickly went to the door, explaining gently, "Wait a second. See, I wasn't even doing any heavy exercises." She politely opened the door and said, "Hello." But what greeted her was Jong Jin, his entire body glowing, his eyes wide and terrifying. Without a single word, "Most of the people I've killed so far have been residents of this building. A few middle school friends and some classmates. But they were all useless. I've tried a few experiments with the loop. The first being to activate it repeatedly." Jong Jin sat in class, staring at his phone and calculating. First, check the rewind point. He glanced down at Sang Nam, who was diligently writing below, "Test subject, Na Sang Nam." Suddenly, a bullet flew through the air at a blistering speed, and the experiment officially began. The bullet cleanly pierced straight through Sang Nam's head. As soon as Sang Nam slumped onto his desk, Jong Jin raised his watch to start the timer. Time of death, 15:41 and 30 seconds. He immediately focused on analyzing the data. The rewind point is 15:40 and 25 seconds. It went back about 1 minute. "I need to confirm." Jong Jin snapped his fingers, and Sang Nam instantly woke up. He muttered, confirming again. In a flash, Sang Nam's head hit the desk again. Unconscious, Jong Jin quickly checked his phone, carefully calculating. Rewind point, 15:38 and 21 seconds. This time it was about 2 minutes. He pondered, about 1 to 2 minutes. If I keep activating the loop, will time rewind indefinitely? He glanced over at Jong In, preparing for the next experiment. Test subject, Jong In, begin. Jong In immediately collapsed onto his desk, while his surrounding friends panicked. At that moment, Jong Jin's body felt heavy, and he felt a wave of discomfort. Though his breathing was labored, he focused on the data. Successfully activated 5 times in a row. Time has rewound by about 8 minutes. Suddenly, a drop of fresh red blood fell onto the desk. Jong Jin stared in shock at the streak of blood on his nose. Blood. Sang Nam shot up in a panic, yelling, "Jong Jin, you have a nosebleed." His eyebrows furrowed, his face showing extreme concern. Jong Jin gestured for Sang Nam to sit down, cursing inwardly. What a pain. Conclusion. It's possible to rewind time indefinitely, but the price is severe injury to myself. Succeeded 5 times. Second experiment, self-termination. Jong Jin's body floated as he wondered, if I kill someone, time rewinds. So what happens if I kill myself? He closed his eyes, his thoughts chaotic. If those guys saw this, how would they react? He raised his hand, and a cold blue light enveloped it. Jong Jin's eyes widened, his expression grave. What if time doesn't rewind? Without hesitation, he pressed his hand firmly against his chest. Wouldn't that just be a pointless death? A loud noise echoed through the space as the power exploded. A dog was startled, quickly dashing away with nimble steps. Sang Nam called out in confusion, "Hey, Chogat, where are you running off to?" In front of him, Jong Jin was lying motionless on the ground. Sang Nam's eyes were stunned, his face frozen, completely unable to understand what had just happened. Seeing Jong Jin lying still and covered in injuries, he screamed in panic. "Jong Jin, Jong Jin slowly opened his eyes, his consciousness gradually returning after being knocked out. He squinted his eyes, his expression still bewildered. Half awake and half dreaming, Sang-nam quickly lifted him onto his back, encouraging him as he ran. Jong Jin, we're almost at the hospital, just hold on tight. Jong Jin bowed his head, gritting his teeth and blaming himself. I can't control my power. Am I that afraid of dying? His voice suddenly rang out decisively. Stop, Sang-nam asked gently. Okay, Jong Jin, are you all right? He set Jong Jin down, sincerely advising, let's get to the hospital first. You're badly hurt. But Jong Jin glared, his voice dangerously low and aggressive. Get lost. With that said, he walked straight into the middle of the road. Without any hesitation, he ran out and stood directly in front of a truck that was speeding towards him. Jong Jin's eyes narrowed, his gaze firm and resolute. Sang-nam witnessed the scene, so shocked that he was frozen in place. The truck sped forward, slamming straight into Jong Jin, sending his body flying and blood splattering everywhere. Suicide also triggers the loop. That bastard won't let me die. But there's something strange. Sang-nam immediately hoisted him up and started running again, his face tense. To the nurse's office, first, I'm on my way. Hold on tight. This action made Jong Jin wonder, why does this guy have to be so damn kind? Sang-nam ran frantically, his footsteps urgent, not daring to waste a single second. His face showed growing anxiety and fear as he yelled, get out of the way. In his rush, he suddenly came across Hyun Cheon's gang of bullies, forcing Min-ho to kneel in the middle of the hallway. Even while wearing a horse mask, Min-ho couldn't hide his fear. Sang-nam didn't hesitate, sprinting past and accidentally bumping into Min-ho, knocking him aside. Min-ho's body swayed, losing balance before falling to the ground. He tumbled onto the floor, lying motionless, completely lifeless. The hallway was silent, and the air around them seemed to thicken. Min-ho was surrounded by the bullies, who were forcing him to neigh like a horse. Hyun Cheon was recording with his phone while laughing mockingly. Look at this idiot. The phone screen showed Min-ho's face covered by a horse mask. While Min-ji and Min-hyun made ridiculous poses in the background, Min-ho groaned in pain, and Min-ji snapped irritably, telling him to do it properly. Ignoring Min-ho struggling on the floor, one of the gang members made a jeering comment, saying it was easier to make him do this. That guy threw the fake horse head at Min-ho's face, continuing to mock his appearance. When two first-year students walked by, Hyun Cheon ordered Min-ho around like an animal, forcing him to greet them. Min-ho had no choice but to obey, looking up to ask the underclassmen for carrots. Just then, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed from the end of the hallway. Sang-nam appeared with a panicked look on his face, shouting for everyone to get out of the way. He rushed past, accidentally bumping into Min-ho and sending him stumbling. Min-ho staggered, lost his balance, and then collapsed onto the floor, lying completely still. One of the thugs smirked mockingly, while Hyun Cheon looked bewildered, not understanding what was going on. He stared in the direction Sang-nam had run, wondering if that was the group of freshmen. Hyun-soo quickly spoke up, his face looking extremely serious. Hyun Cheon immediately turned his head and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Hyun-soo frowned, his voice filled with anger as he warned about the group that just ran by. The bastards who beat him up. Cheon-hai added that they were heading to the nurse's office. Hyun Cheon stepped forward, glaring as he called Hyun-soo an idiot for getting beaten up right after starting school. And then he asked who they were. Hyun-soo's face was tense as he admitted that he only knew the guy walking behind was named Kim Jong-jin, but he didn't know his class. He looked up, cautiously mentioning that the fat guy with them also knew how to fight. Advising his boss to be careful, Hyun Cheon shoved his hands in his pockets, arrogantly stating that he was one of the strongest guys in school and didn't need a warning from a pathetic loser. Meanwhile, Min-ho, who was lying on the floor, overheard everything and silently worried for the other group. Hyun Cheon glanced over, calling out to Min-ho in a menacing tone. Min-ho quickly scrambled to his feet, and Hyun Cheon immediately gave an order. Go get them and bring them here in 5 seconds. Min-ho wearily pulled up the horse head, responding in an exhausted tone, saying Min-ho hesitate. Hyun Cheon immediately started counting down. 4. He stood with his arms crossed, his voice dropping to a tone filled with clear intimidation. Min-ho had no other choice but to awkwardly accept the order and hurry off. At the same time, Sang-nam had managed to carry Jong Jin to the school's nurse's office, but then he suddenly collapsed to the floor, weakly calling out Jongjin's name. It turned out Jongjin had knocked Sangnam unconscious and coldly turned away, muttering that he had told him to put him down. As he walked away, he suddenly turned his head to look back behind him. He stared intently at the nurse's office door, wondering to himself, "I've never killed a nurse before." With that thought, Jongjin quietly walked over and reached for the doorknob. Meanwhile, Sangnam was completely unconscious, lying senseless on the floor. Minho, having just arrived, immediately approached the motionless Songnam. He looked around in confusion, wondering why Songnam was lying there. Minho placed a hand on Songnam's shoulder, trying to wake him up. His eyes darted around as he wondered what to do, and where the other person had gone. Suddenly, a deadly pressure emanated from inside the nurse's office. Minho's eyes widened instantly, a shocking, terrifying sensation, making the hair on the back of his neck stand on end. He tiptoed closer, peeking into the room through a crack in the door. With a terrified expression, Minho tremblingly called out for the school nurse. His gaze froze, his facial muscles tensing at the horrific sight that lay before him. What caught his eye was Jongjin's blood-soaked hand, which was emitting a light that enveloped the entire room. Minho's eyes bulged, his entire body paralyzed, frozen in place by sheer terror. Overwhelming fear gripped him and his heart pounded erratically. And even though Hyuncheon's countdown echoed in his mind, Minho turned in a panic and fled. He struggled to his feet, stumbling as he ran for his life. While running, Minho's body suddenly stopped short. As if he sensed something, a terrifying pressure washed over him from behind, making his heart feel like it was about to explode. Minho's eyes stared blankly as he mumbled about this strange feeling. His hands trembled uncontrollably. This feeling was exactly like déjà vu. The image of a blood-soaked body suddenly flooded Minho's mind, accompanied by the sound of gasping breaths. The victim's pale face, with a trickle of blood at the corner of the mouth, became a horrifying memory that haunted him. Minho's vision darkened, his eyes filled with absolute terror as he muttered, "Why? I didn't." Just then, a hand swung from behind, slapping Minho straight across the face. Seeing Minho clutching his face, Hyun Cheon immediately roared in anger. "Hey, you little punk," Minho whimpered weakly, his voice trailing off in pain. "It hurts so much." Hyun Cheon scowled in annoyance and snapped. "What? Did you see a ghost or something? Why did you just freeze up like that?" Minhyun quickly tugged on Hyun Cheon's sleeve, cutting him off irritably. "Don't talk like that," she reminded him. "Did you forget?" He froze up in front of a corpse once Hyun Cheon replied mockingly. "When that time you were on top of him." Enraged, Minhyun turned on her heel to leave, coldly dropping the line, "I don't care. This is annoying. I'm heading back." Hyun Cheon turned back and ordered Minho, "Find them and bring them here after lunch." He shot Minho a sidelong glance and growled, "Hey, you dog, why aren't you answering me?" Minho was still stunned, not yet recovered from his terror, and stammered, "Oh, yes. See ya." Hyun Cheon's group snorted coldly and then turned to leave. Just when he thought it was over, the fake horsehead suddenly flew through the air and smacked him right in the face. Hyunsu walked by, smirking arrogantly, and said, "Tell the fat kid he's dead. For sure," he said in a smug tone. "I'm going to have a life-or-death duel with him." Cheon, Hai quickly chimed in. "That's right. That little punk." Minho stood motionless, lost in a vague stream of thought. His eyes were wide with shock as he murmured, "There's no mistaking it." The recent memory sent him into a panic, his chaotic thoughts racing. "This has happened before," Minho affirmed decisively in his mind. "A similar event. I'm absolutely sure of it." Jongjin focused on his notebook, using a pen to cross out the names of the subjects whose experiments were complete. The pen moved decisively, striking each name off the list one by one. He snapped the notebook shut. Jongjin lowered his gaze thoughtfully, his eyes looking into the distance. "Maybe I should pay a visit to DAE World School." He immediately took off, his body launching into the air and vanishing without a trace. In the blink of an eye, Jongjin appeared on the grounds of DAE World School. Inside the classroom, the teacher and students were still highly focused on the lesson. All the students were diligently taking notes, the atmosphere completely silent, except for the scratching of pens. Jongjin suddenly pushed the door open and walked in, his eyes still glued to the notebook in his hand. The teacher immediately took notice and asked in a stern voice, "You there, student? Who are you?" He shouted angrily. "What school are you from?" Zhang Jin just glanced back at him, his gaze chillingly sharp. A male student suddenly shot to his feet with a stunned expression. Kim Jong-jin, what are you doing here? Another student also turned, looking at him with a bewildered expression. Kim Yong-jin. Jong-jin just closed his eyes slightly, remaining completely silent without a word of explanation. He suddenly bared his teeth in a grin, a terrifying smile that unsettled the entire class, and said, "Hello." The grotesque smile remained on Jong-jin's lips as a terrifying pressure erupted, enveloping the entire room. A blinding aura flared up around Jong-jin's body, his eyes wide with a crazed look. A pen on a desk suddenly shot into the air, and a female student who witnessed it stared in shock, her eyes wide. Immediately, all the school supplies in the room began to float in unison, leaving the entire class dumbfounded. The objects slowly gathered together, then shot towards Jong-jin all at once. All the students were frozen in shock, unable to believe their eyes. What on earth was he? The teacher scowled and yelled, You little brat, what kind of trick are you pulling?" Jong-jin completely ignored him, speaking in a solemn, commanding tone. "Up here." His eyes widened, his murderous gaze fixed on the empty space before him. Ruler of time. The aura around him grew more intense, its overwhelming power plunging the room into a tense silence. The teacher stepped forward, pointing directly at Jong-jin and scolding him. "What is this nonsense you're spouting? Get out of my classroom." A deadly glint flashed in Jong-jin's pupils as he growled a curse. "You useless piece of trash." The teacher's brow furrowed, his anger exploding as he shouted, "What did you just say? You little brat." The moment he finished speaking, dozens of pens shot forward, aiming straight for their target. The teacher froze, his eyes bulging as he watched a barrage of sharp pen tips fly straight at his face. The rain of sharp pens made impact, and fresh blood immediately splattered everywhere, painting the space red in a horrific scene. The teacher's body immediately swayed, his legs turning to jelly. As all his strength left him, he instantly collapsed to the floor, completely motionless. The entire class descended into chaos as students screamed, shoving each other to escape with terrified looks on their faces. Jong-jin's face was splattered with blood, his eyes wide as his cold, murderous voice rang out. The hallway outside remained quiet, but inside the classroom, fresh blood covered the glass door, and the thick smell of iron filled the air. Meanwhile, Min-ho was haunted by fear, a suppressed sense of unease, making it impossible for him to swallow his food. He stared blankly down at the full tray of food in front of him. Hyun Cheon sidled up to him, smirking as he taunted. "What's wrong? Is the food bad? Or are you just feeling lonely?" He put on a fake, friendly smile and insincerely offered, "Want to come eat with us tomorrow?" He slung an arm around his shoulder, leaned in close to Min-ho, and sneered. "What do you say?" "Who?" Min-ho. Min-ho closed his eyes and forced a crooked smile. "Sure. Can I?" Hyun Cheon immediately grabbed Min-ho's hair and brutally slammed his head straight into the food tray. He growled, getting right in his face. "So, what about that favor?" I asked. Min-ho, trying to suppress the pain, answered, That freshman guy. I told him. The other one was injured, so he went home early." Hyun Cheon yanked Min-ho's head back up and snarled. "I don't care about the other one," he commanded sharply. "Bring that big dude here." Min-ho weakly replied, "I understand." Hyun Cheon's brutality silenced the entire cafeteria. No one dared to look up. Hyun Cheon placed a hand on Min-ho's shoulder. Curious. "Hey, you mutt." "Oh wait. Kang Min-ho. You see ghosts or something?" Min-ho quickly denied it. Hyun Cheon pressed him. "Then why were you staring at the body of that suicide kid?" Min-ho hesitated. I just felt a little sorry for him." Hyun Cheon immediately turned to the next table and called out, "Hey, you sixth graders." He glared at them mockingly. "This mutt here says he's lonely. Didn't he kill that other guy? Why do you all treat him like that? Or are you ashamed of him too?" The boys who were called out could only remain silent, cowering in their seats. Hyun Cheon walked past Min-ho, tossing a contemptuous remark. "Just keep cowering like that. Hurry up and eat. You bastard." Then he shouted, "Let's go." He turned and ordered his lackeys. "Everyone, gather up." One of them quickly asked, "What about me?" Hyun Cheon coldly snapped. "Get lost." The lackey tried to plead. "Why?" "Boss, let me come with you." Min-ho walked silently across the school grounds, looking dazed and empty. Each of his steps was heavy, as if he were carrying an invisible burden. His eyes were dark, reflecting extreme fear and emptiness. As Minho was walking, he suddenly froze in his tracks. He glanced sideways in confusion. His eyes fell upon the body of a small bird lying motionless on the grass. His eyes immediately widened. Filled with horror, Minho stared intently at the bird's body sprawled on the ground. At that moment, the image of a male student's blood-soaked corpse flooded his mind. He was stunned as he recalled the horrifying scene from before. I had only one desire: to save my friend who was on the brink of death. Back then, Minho had tried to save him, but in the end, he was completely powerless. But no matter how many times I tried to save him, Minho realized in a panic that whenever his hand made contact, time would rewind to the exact moment that student died. He resentfully tormented himself. Why do I have such a useless ability? Tears streamed down his face, reflecting his surging despair. He didn't want this power anymore. Minho gently picked up the bird's body and placed it in his palm. Suddenly, an intense red light erupted from the bird's small body. The very moment Minho lifted the bird, a brilliant crimson light enveloped his body. The piercing crackle of electric sparks flashed around him. Minho's eyes were wide, his face tense with intense concentration. Finally, he slowly exhaled, his expression relaxing in relief. The bird's eyes slowly opened. Its body trembled slightly, and then it began to move. It spread its wings wide, its face glowing with new life and radiance. Minho looked at it affectionately and asked, "You're okay now?" "Right." The little bird in his palm flapped its wings and soared high into the sky. Minho remained there, silently watching the bird's silhouette fade into the distance. The bird that had been lifeless just moments ago was now gliding powerfully through the sky. The image of the student ending his life on the rooftop suddenly returned to Minho's mind. He wished he could save people, just like he saved that bird. His eyes drooped, his gaze filled with a choked, sorrowful feeling. Just then, Sangnam appeared from behind, calling out, "Senior Kang Minho." Minho jumped and turned around, asking worriedly, "When did you get here? Did you see everything?" Sangnam replied innocently. "Huh, what are you talking about?" Senior Minho quickly changed the subject. "No, it's nothing." Sangnam didn't seem to care, urging, "Let's go." In a secluded corner of the schoolyard, a place few people visited, Hyun Cheon's gang of thugs was already waiting. The area was quiet, with only the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. Hyun Cheon was taking a drag from his cigarette, squinting as he glanced behind him, seeing Minho bring Sangnam over. He exhaled a puff of thick white smoke with a provocative attitude. Hyun Cheon held the cigarette between his fingers and flicked it forward. The cigarette butt flew straight towards Sangnam, who quickly tilted his head to dodge it in alarm. Hyun Cheon immediately closed the distance, delivering a powerful, vicious kick to Sangnam's leg. Sangnam buckled to his knees, his face contorted in a pained grimace as he cried out. Hyun Cheon didn't stop, swinging his hand to slap him right across the face. His eyes bulged as he smirked, gloating and full of arrogance. Minho could only hang his head, standing silently as he watched Sangnam get mercilessly beaten. He squeezed his eyes shut as guilt and remorse washed over him. Hyun Cheon hurled an insult. "You bastard. You reek of sweat." He stuck his hands in his pockets and asked arrogantly, "Hey, Na Sangnam, you think you're such a good fighter, do you know who beat up my little brother?" He continued to question him. "Why did you dare to hit Hyun Soo?" Sangnam hesitated before answering, It was because a close friend of mine got hurt." Hyun Cheon stepped closer, smirking sarcastically. "What's with you two? Are you dating or something?" Despite the blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, Sangnam remained resolute and unwavering. "I have a reason to protect my friend." His voice suddenly became firm. "He is my benefactor." Hyun Cheon frowned and scoffed. "You idiot. Are you putting on a play?" With that, he turned his back, uttering a threat. "Go ahead and be a couple. You sickos." Sangnam emphasized once more, his voice dead serious. "I'm not kidding. I will protect him until I die." Hyun Cheon glanced back in annoyance. "You think that guy will be grateful to you? You're a fool." "Even so," Sangnam affirmed with conviction. "Yes, I'm sure of it." Hyun Cheon suddenly burst into mocking laughter. "Oh, really?" He turned to his lackey and ordered, "Tomorrow, take care of that bastard for me." The lackey grinned. "Sure thing." Hyun Cheon added, "After you're done, drag him through the streets. Get a few more guys ready. The lackey's face lit up with even more excitement. Leave it to me. The lackey asked. Hyun-kyeon. Can I do whatever I want to him? He replied curtly. Yeah. Hearing this, Sang-nam gritted his teeth, his body trembling with rage. Jong-jin was in danger. He immediately stood up straight, his posture defiant. His voice rang out, sharp and powerful. Senior. Hyun-cheon turned his face. His eyes filled with caution. Sang-nam's eyes suddenly darkened. His stern gaze froze the air. You have a mosquito on your cheek. Hyun-cheon scowled and snapped. So what? Sang-nam didn't hold back any longer. He smiled and said, Allow me. Instantly, he swung his arm and delivered a devastating punch straight to Hyun-cheon's face. The bully's eyes rolled back. He foamed at the mouth, and his body shook uncontrollably. The incredibly powerful punch sent Hyun-cheon staggering, completely losing his balance. Immediately after, he collapsed to the ground, looking utterly pathetic. Seeing Hyun-cheon lying motionless with blood pouring from his nose, his lackeys were stunned. Hyun-cheon, hey, wake up. Finally, Sang-nam bowed slightly and said politely, Please don't bother us anymore. Okay. Min-ho watched from a distance, his eyes wide with shock at Sang-nam's actions. Sang-nam scowled and snarled. You bastard. If you breathe a single word about this, you're dead. Min-ho raised his hands in fear and stammered, I'll keep it a secret. Sang-nam immediately yelled, Get lost. Min-ho instantly turned and silently left the area. Hyun-soo, hiding behind a nearby wall, smirked sinisterly. A one-hit knockout. Pretty impressive. It seems. His expression grew even more wicked. Taking down a tough guy like that. Things are starting to get interesting. At the same time, Min-ho was running for his life, his eyes filled with utter panic and stress. He just kept dashing forward, completely oblivious to his surroundings. In his panic, Min-ho ran right past Jong-jin without even noticing him. Fear consumed his mind, making him unable to pay attention to anything around him. Jong-jin flipped through his planner, muttering, The classmates are done. Now it's the second year's turn. Jong-jin and Min-ho were both there. A distance between them that signaled a tense encounter was on the horizon. During art class, Ms. E.G. gave the assignment, Everyone, please draw a self-portrait that expresses your deepest secret. The teacher gently reminded them, When you're finished, please turn in your work to me. Min-ho was sketching a picture, with life and trees on one side, and death with a skull on the other. Just then, the sound of steady footsteps echoed from the hallway. Those footsteps grew clearer and clearer, their rhythm urgent and steady. Jong-jin appeared in front of a sophomore classroom, his figure blurry. Without hesitation, he immediately pushed the door open and walked in. Meanwhile, Min-ho was still diligently finishing his incomplete drawing. A sudden sound from the classroom door made his brushstroke freeze. The moment Jong-jin stepped inside, every pen and pencil in the room instantly floated into the air. The entire class was stunned, their eyes wide with shock at the bizarre phenomenon. Ms. IEG was walking around the class and stopped to praise Min-ho, saying, Your split composition is very impressive. She pointed to the drawing of the skull and asked curiously, Is this the dark corner of your psyche? Min-ho gave a forced smile and explained awkwardly, I'm just trying to express the fear of death. Ms. E.G. smiled and remarked, So you're depicting death within life. That's a very unique way to express it. She gently placed a hand on his shoulder and asked kindly, Min-ho, animals must be very important to you too. Right, Min-ho replied hesitantly and awkwardly. Yes, that's right. Outside in the hallway, the space was as quiet as ever. Jong-jin was now standing in front of another sophomore classroom. The air around him was thick with tension, stretched taut like a violin string. He calmly and slowly moved on to his next target. Suddenly, Min-ho's expression darkened. He froze, clearly sensing an invisible pressure bearing down on him. His eyes went wide, his gaze empty, and his whole body trembled uncontrollably with fear. Ms. E.G. noticed something was wrong, hurried over, and placed a hand on his back comfortingly, asking, What's wrong? Min-ho's face was pale as he whispered in terror, It's that feeling again. It's getting very close. Jong-jin pushed the door open and stepped inside. Instantly, the atmosphere in the classroom became suffocating and extremely tense. Min-ho quickly glanced over, his eyes filled with shock and astonishment. Jong-jin calmly walked deeper into the room, each step decisive. His eyes flashed, and a brilliant aura began to envelop his body. All eyes in the classroom turned towards him, filled with bewilderment and confusion. Zhang Yongyin Barga in uninvited. Ms. E.G. spoke up and asked, "Who are you?" Minho didn't dare to turn his head, only managing to steal a glance in his direction. Zhongjin maintained an ice-cold expression, completely ignoring everything around him. A female student who was drawing looked up and wondered, "Who's that?" Suddenly, her drawing paper was ripped from her notebook by an invisible force. The girl stared in stunned amazement as her paper floated in mid-air. Instantly, the paper shot past, grazing the girl's cheek by a hair's breadth. The terrified girl raised a hand to her cheek. Feeling a trickle of blood, Zhongjin raised his hand, and the paper immediately flew back, landing neatly in his palm. Minho's jaw dropped as he thought in horror. That's telekinesis. The students crowded around Zhongjin, buzzing with chatter. "Hey freshman, how did you do that? Is that a magic trick?" Ms. E.G. quickly raised her hand and ordered, "Everyone, back to your seats. And you, stop fooling around, and go back to your own class right now." Minho frantically put up a hand to stop her, yelling, "Teacher, don't come over here." A confused Miss Ye asked, "What's wrong?" The paper instantly became a weapon, whistling through the air as it sliced cleanly across Miss IEG's neck, and fresh blood spurted out. A hot stream of blood sprayed out, splattering everywhere and dyeing Minho's face red. Minho was frozen solid, his eyes wide open, with a look of absolute horror etched onto his face. He shot up in shock, witnessing Ms. E.G.'s body go limp and collapse onto the floor. The whole class erupted in chaos, screaming in panic and trying to escape. "Who is that psycho? Run!" Zhongjin calmly and slowly walked past the students who were lying motionless all over the floor. The students were jammed at the door, trembling in fear. "The door won't open. He's getting closer." Ms. E.G. lay gasping for air, struggling to call his name. "Minho." Then her eyes closed for good as she drew her last breath. Minho gritted his teeth as tears of anguish streamed down his face. He choked out a sob. "Teacher." He looked at his hands in despair, questioning himself. "I want to save her. But how? No. If I hesitate, the chance will be gone." The remaining students used chairs to desperately fight back, trying to block Zhongjin's advance. Don't come over here." Everyone's face showed clear signs of unease and utter terror. What in the world is wrong with him? But Zhongjin didn't attack. He just coldly walked past the panicking crowd. The scene before his eyes was Minho placing his hands on Miss Yeji, his entire body erupting in a brilliant light. The aura surrounding Minho grew more and more radiant, flaring intensely. Minho's eyes widened, filled with bewilderment. "What is this?" Ms. E.G. slowly opened her eyes, her consciousness vaguely returning as if she had just been pulled back from the brink of death. Minho cried out joyfully, "Teacher Ms." E.G. held her head, dazed, and mumbled, "My head." Minho's gaze suddenly snapped down, and he noticed with surprise that cracks were beginning to appear on the floor. Zhongjin was suddenly standing right in front of him, holding a large rock, his eyes wide and filled with killing intent. His face darkened as he growled a threat. "You power user." He immediately hurled the sharp rock, which shot straight towards Minho with lightning speed. Minho's jaw dropped in shock as he watched the huge rock hurtling towards him, getting closer and closer. He could only stare, frozen, at the object, completely helpless and unable to dodge. The scene rewound. A sharp piece of glass shot forward. Immediately after, fresh blood sprayed out, splashing right onto Minho's face. Then, everyone collapsed to the floor, one by one. He was utterly terrified, his throat choked up, only able to make speechless sounds. A cold figure stepped over the bodies, walking straight towards him. "He has powers too, just like me." Tears of fear welled up in Minho's eyes. "But why?" He glanced at the motionless Ms. Yi. Why would he do this? Minho's tears began to stream down his face as he sobbed. "Teacher." He held up his hands, overwhelmed by a sense of helplessness. "I want to save her. But what can I do?" Minho buried his head in his hands, tormenting himself. "They're going to die anyway. I'll just have to endure it like all the other times." But then he had a realization. "No. If I just let this happen, I won't get another chance." Minho had to turn back time. In the present moment, he was using his healing ability on Ms. Yeah, Ji. A brilliant light flared up around Minho, directly transferring life energy into her. Finally, Ms. IEG weakly and groggily opened her eyes. He cried out joyfully. Teacher. The teacher sat up, still docid, and mumbled. My head. His joy was fleeting as Minho worried. She'll be attacked again. Can I stop it in time? If I save them, what will happen? Suddenly, the sound of footsteps made Minho jump and turn around. Minho slowly raised his eyes to look ahead. Zhang Jin stood there imposingly, a large rock in his hands. Minho's jaw dropped in shock. No, it's not time for the time loop to activate yet. His eyes flashed with killing intent as he roared. You ruler of time. He decisively threw the sharp rock in his hand. The rock shot straight towards the motionless Minho. Just as the rock was a hair's breadth from Minho's face, a sudden temporal fluctuation occurred, and all the visuals began to distort. Both Zhang Jin and the giant rock suddenly froze in midair. His eyes were glued to the tip of the rock. Then, Minho noticed something unusual. He curiously reached out to touch it, murmuring, "What is this?" Immediately, Minho quickly scanned his eyes around the entire classroom. The teacher, Ms. Yi, who had been moving, was also suddenly standing completely still. Zhang Jin's brutal expression was also frozen in that very moment. All the students in the class were frozen in place with horrified looks in their eyes. He jumped to his feet, realizing with astonishment that time had completely stopped. Minho was still bewildered, telling himself, I didn't activate the time loop. He looked back at the rock and realized it had moved a tiny bit from its original position. It hadn't stopped completely. Instantly, he figured out that everything was just moving much more slowly. But another question troubled Minho. Why was he the only one who could still move? Suddenly, a tremor hit, causing his body to sway. Right before Minho's eyes, a strange crack began to appear in space itself. The entire surrounding scene was like a sheet of glass that was beginning to fracture, and then Minho suffered the same fate. His body stiffened, unable to move. Suddenly, everything shattered into pieces like glass. Amidst the shattered scenery, Ms. EG's voice suddenly rang out. Class, get back to your seats, wake your friends up. The image of Minho, fast asleep on his desk, appeared immediately after. Pieces of chalk flew straight for his head, and a shout pierced through Minho's daze. Wake up! He jolted awake, his face still etched with pure terror. Strangely, the classroom was completely peaceful, as if nothing had happened at all. The whole class started whispering, What's wrong with that guy? He looks like he's seen a ghost. Miss EG had to wrap her ruler and shout. Settle down. Minho let out a sigh of relief. A weight lifted from his shoulders. Thank goodness. Time had turned back. But in the next instant, his eyes widened in astonishment. Minho quickly looked at his watch, wondering why it had reset to this specific moment. He felt uneasy. It was supposed to rewind to the moment right before the fatal incident. Minho's eyes were glued to his watch, wondering if it was because of that strange phenomenon earlier. Why was this happening? At the same time, the sound of heavy panting suddenly echoed from the hallway. The sound reverberated. It was clear someone was gasping for air. Zhang Jin leaned against the wall, sliding down wearily. He grimaced and gritted his teeth. This feeling, it was as if his body had been completely drained of strength. Zhang Jin punched the wall hard. He hadn't killed anyone. So why was this happening? Countless questions arose without answers. Something was very strange. This wasn't a normal loop. Miss EG stood at the podium, continuing the previous lesson. Everyone, please draw a self-portrait of your deepest secret. Minho was probably the only one not hearing a word the teacher said. Even when she told them to turn in their drawings when they were done, he kept glancing around anxiously, thinking, he'll be here soon. What should I do now? His trembling hands clenched into fists. If he didn't act, everyone would surely die. Minho squeezed his eyes shut, making an ironclad resolve. He had to find a way to stop him. Outside, Zhang Jin was slowly taking one step after another. With his hands in his pockets, he casually made his way up the stairs. Back in the classroom, Minho suddenly shot his hand into the air. His action immediately drew everyone's attention as he spoke up. May I please be excused? Miss Yi asked kindly. Is something wrong? Minho. He lowered his hand and made an excuse. I have a stomachache. The teacher chuckled, joking. It's probably because you slept through the break. Go on, but hurry back. At that same moment, Zhang Jin appeared with a murderous look on his face, radiating a suffocating pressure. And then, Zhang Jin set foot on the top step of the staircase. From the classroom, Minho also cautiously cracked the door open, scanning his surroundings. Instantly, Minho shot off like an arrow, thinking to himself, "Thank goodness. He's not here yet." At that moment, the familiar hallway suddenly seemed to stretch on endlessly. He pressed himself behind a door, his sharp gaze fixed on the far end of the hallway. Feeling the absolute silence, Minho felt a temporary sense of relief, closing his eyes and letting out a soft sigh. But his uneasiness still nagged at him, forcing him to look back just to be sure. The hallway remained eerily silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Minho was lost in thought. That first year, he possesses a power similar to mine. The image of Zhang Jin flooded back into his memory. All of this anxiety was caused by him. Just then, Zhang Jin suddenly appeared. Stepping out from the end of the hallway, Minho flinched, his eyes wide with utter horror as extreme terror washed over him. He quickly pressed himself tightly against the door, holding his breath as he waited for Zhang Jin to pass. Minho prayed over and over in his mind. "He's here. Please don't let him find me." He cautiously peeked out, risking a look to observe his opponent's movements. But surprisingly, Zhang Jin stopped in front of a different classroom door. Countless questions popped into Minho's head. Class 1. Isn't my class the target? Minho tried to analyze the situation. Why the change? What was he going in there for? He was still stunned. His intuition had clearly told him that Zhang Jin was coming for his class. Seeing his calm expression, Minho was horrified. Could it be? He turned back time to massacre Class 1 instead. The door in front of Zhang Jin suddenly opened. He calmly stepped inside. Right before Minho's eyes, the door slowly closed, hiding everything from view. Immediately, Minho darted out from his hiding spot. This was his chance. Minho sprinted towards the end of the hallway without a moment's hesitation. Even though fear was gripping him, he knew this was the only way to save everyone. Minho ran straight for the building's emergency fire alarm box. He smashed the glass and pressed the button, and a deafening alarm bell echoed throughout the school. Inside the other classroom, Zhang Jin had just stepped in, drawing everyone's attention. Just then, the piercing sound of the fire alarm rang out, shattering the tense atmosphere. Zhang Jin's eyebrows furrowed slightly as he glanced towards the door. Not understanding what was happening, a massive crowd of people jostled as they moved down the stairwell. A teacher followed at the end, constantly reminding them, "Stay calm, watch your step. Don't push." The students chattered as they ran. Is it a real fire, or did someone pull a prank? Meanwhile, whispers could be heard in Class 2. That first year from before, maybe he pulled the alarm and ran. Another student chimed in. If that's true, he's way too confident. Zhang Jin stood there and overheard them. His expression darkened as he muttered, "Way too confident." He just stood there silently. Minho snuck a glance and sighed in relief, thinking, it looks like he's not going to do anything now. Minho clicked his tongue. Looking at Zhang Jin, he thought it was such a childish act of vandalism. Even so, Minho couldn't stop wondering why he had to resort to killing people. He looked at him, speculating that someone must be trying to get in his way. Minho's gaze didn't leave him. He was sure that Zhang Jin had interfered with the loop. He continued to watch Zhang Jin as he left. There were still plenty of opportunities. Watching his retreating back, Minho made a resolution. I will find out your secret. He turned and walked in the other direction, thinking to himself, see you later, fellow ability user. The next day, the balcony area was shrouded in a thick cloud of cigarette smoke. Hyun-cheon was sitting listlessly on the steps, a cigarette dangling from his lips. Taking a deep drag, he asked, "Did he pass out?" His lackey quickly confirmed. "Yeah." "You don't remember." Hyun-cheon gritted his teeth, crushing the cigarette, and growled a curse. The guy with blue hair next to him sneered. "I heard you passed out from a single punch. That kid's interesting. Is he really a first year?" Instantly, he dropped the cigarette and growled a warning. "You think this is funny?" Without hesitation, Hyun-cheon grabbed the blue-haired guy by the head and slammed him against the wall. "What I want." He turned back, his face full of killing intent, and ordered, "Find that Na Sang-nam kid and drag him here." In the classroom, Jia Hyun frowned and scolded him. "What's wrong with you? Stop doing whatever you want and think about others for a change." She directed her words at Sang-nam, who had his head down. "The teacher is going to scold you again. You'll see." Sang-nam covered his face, his voice full of helplessness. "I didn't mean to. I completely lost control." Jia Hyun sighed. This is such a burden. As the class president, seeing that he was ignoring her, she raised her hand to slap him. Are you not listening to me? Suddenly, Jia Hyun's wrist was grabbed tightly. Sang-nam shot up from his seat, getting close to her face. We need to talk. Jia Hyun. He dragged her away as she yelled. Let go, the crowd started whispering. Are they dating? I'll bet $500 on it. Jia Hyun popped open a can of soda and casually asked, Why would you do something so stupid? She took a sip and remarked, So stupid. They're definitely going to come back for you. Sang-nam just replied calmly. Is that so? Jia Hyun snapped. It's obvious. Isn't it? Did you really punch him without thinking about the consequences? She recalled thinking she never expected him to hit someone. Watching him grow from a little kid into a giant. Back then, Jia Hyun would snap. Why do you keep teasing me? And he would just look baffled, saying, I'm not. Sang-nam frowned. I'm more worried about Jong Jin. She glanced at the empty can, advising him, You shouldn't get involved with him. Jia Hyun tossed the can into the trash. If you're so worried, then go pray. Or maybe try fighting it out. She started to walk away, concluding, I'm not getting involved. You handle it yourself. Sang-nam looked on regretfully. But Yongjin is a good person. The sincerity in his voice made Jia Hyun look back. If it weren't for him, I would have been dead a long time ago. They both sat down again. Sang-nam began. Do you remember Yunshin Hospital? Jia Hyun glanced at him. You mean that supposedly haunted place? He nodded. That's the one. Back in elementary school, Sang-nam and a few friends snuck in there. They dared each other to take a picture inside the building as proof. The kid with glasses trembled. I don't dare to go in. But the black-haired kid dismissed him. I saved up a whole week's worth of internet cafe money for this. The group went inside. But after just a few steps, a trembling voice called out, Wait. The black-haired kid started to get scared and suggested they take the picture right there. And the kid with glasses immediately agreed, overcome with fear. The group decided to take the photo right there on the ground floor. The other two were striking an awkward pose as Sang-nam raised the camera, when suddenly, a loud noise echoed, making the two of them jump in fright. Sang-nam quickly lowered his camera and looked up toward the source of the sound. His eyes widened, and his entire face froze in terror. His two friends curiously turned their heads to see what was going on. Before them stood a pitch-black figure with glowing eyes in the doorway. The shadow slowly approached, accompanied by a terrifying whisper. Sang-nam was frozen on the spot, while his two friends stared with their jaws dropped in horror. Immediately, all three of them screamed their heads off and bolted, yelling about a ghost. After hearing the whole story, Jia Hyun hesitated. Well, she asked curiously. What does that have to do with Kim Jong-jin? Sang-nam said in a low voice. Just keep listening. When he got home, Sang-nam realized he had lost his camera, and fearing his mom's anger, he decided to go back to that hospital alone. At that time, Sang-nam saw a suspicious puddle of red liquid on the floor. He stared at it, wondering if it was syrup. He couldn't find his camera anywhere, only seeing syrup all over the place. Even the hallway on the second floor was flooded with that syrup-like stuff. As he walked up the stairs, he tried to reassure himself, hoping it wasn't human blood. When he reached the top, Sang-nam saw a hallway leading to the patient wards. And just then, suddenly, a voice spoke from behind him. Is this yours? Sang-nam turned around and saw Jung Jin holding the camera. It was him, but his clothes were covered in that syrup. Jung Jin held out the camera, and Sang-nam quickly took it, stammering his thanks. The kid immediately turned and walked away, leaving a warning. Don't come here again. That was the first time Sang-nam and Jung Jin ever met. Jia Hyun frowned. That sounds so creepy. But what was Jung Jin doing in a place like that? Sang-nam scratched his arm, thinking for a long time. But he didn't know either. I'm not sure either. Jia Hyun looked uncomfortable. What? Is that hospital still in operation? He said dejectedly. I guess so. A few days later, I went back there, and suddenly someone called out, Hey, na Sang-nam. Instantly, a fist appeared right in front of Sang-nam's face. Sang-nam was punched and sent tumbling to the ground right in front of Jia Hyun, causing her to scream in fear. The attacker's voice made Jia Hyun tremble. Come with me. You bastard. A mysterious book was floating in midair. The book opened by itself, and its pages began to fly about chaotically. It turned out, Zhang Jin was controlling it with his gaze. A truly bizarre sight. He stood alone on the rooftop, deep in thought. This doesn't seem like the work of the Master of Time. All of a sudden, the book was stretched taut by an invisible force. Instantly, it exploded, shattering into countless tiny pieces of paper. Zhang Jin's face remained cold and emotionless. He watched the fragments fall, his heart heavy. A loop he didn't remember, plus the fire alarm incident. Zhang Jin's eyes suddenly widened. Could it all be just a random coincidence? The rooftop floor was littered with shredded paper. This loop was too unusual. It couldn't be a coincidence. A strange noise came from the doorway, catching Zhang Jin's attention. A group of thugs appeared, dragging Songnam with them. They ruthlessly shoved Songnam, throwing him violently to the ground. One of them immediately pulled out his phone to make a call. Reporting. Hyun-Kyeon. He's on the rooftop. The guy on the phone didn't notice someone watching from afar, and casually replied, "All right." Another thug raised his foot and kicked Songnam hard, ordering, "Get up. Let's have some fun." Haejin raised his fist tauntingly. "Come at me." Jiho smirked. "Be careful not to get hurt." Songnam just bowed his head meekly. "I'm sorry. I don't want to fight with you seniors." The guy laughed triumphantly, challenging him. "No problem. You idiot." "Come on." Haejin threw a punch, but it missed because the target was too high. He immediately switched to a kick. "Let's see you dodge this." Songnam simply leaned back, effortlessly dodging the attack. His two cronies watched Haejin's performance and burst out laughing. "What a useless punk." Embarrassed, Haejin yelled, "You bastard, you said you didn't want to fight. So how dare you dodge?" Suddenly, a huge hand grabbed Haejin by the face. Hyun-Kyeon had appeared. He asked coldly, "You're here too?" He walked right up to Songnam and said sarcastically, "Na Songnam, you doing okay?" Hyun-Kyeon sneered. "Thanks for the mosquito incident the other day. Now I have to return the favor." He gave a signal, and his underlings immediately rushed forward to restrain Songnam. Songnam was held tightly by two of them. Unable to move, Hyun-Kyeon approached, feigning surprise. "Oh, look, there's a mosquito here too." As soon as he finished speaking, Hyun-Kyeon threw a powerful punch into Songnam's face. Still not satisfied, he smirked. "Oh, and there's a fly, too." Immediately, a brutal gut punch landed on Songnam. He continued with a kick, hurling insults. A cockroach has appeared as well. In pain, Songnam collapsed to his knees. Falling to the floor, the bully laughed with satisfaction. "You righteous bastard. You like taking beatings for other people." "Who?" Hyun-Cheon gripped Songnam's chin tightly and growled. "So you have a thing for taking hits for your friends." Haejin chimed in. "He also has a girlfriend named Jia Hyun." Hyun-Cheon's smile turned twisted. "You have a girlfriend. Where is that chick? Call her over here so I can see." The threat of dragging her there made Songnam's anger flare. He gritted his teeth, trying to control his fists, which were trembling with rage. Songnam struggled, pleading, "Don't bring Jia Hyun into this. She has nothing to do with it. Please stop." Seeing Songnam resist, Hyun-Kyeon scowled. "We were just having fun." "Wait. I've changed my mind." He raised his fist, challenging him. "Let's have a fair fight." Songnam was stunned. "What?" Hyun-Cheon laid out the terms. "If you win, this all ends. If I win, you're the loser. Deal." Although he didn't want to, Songnam reluctantly agreed. "I'm not sure, but I'll do as you say." The bully laughed triumphantly. "You think you can land another punch on me? You're mistaken. Kid, did you forget who I am?" Hyun-Cheon raised his fist tauntingly. "Don't just stand there like an idiot. Hit me. I won't let you off easy." Songnam still hesitated. "But I really..." Suddenly, Haejin grabbed a mop and charged forward aggressively, screaming, "Liar! You bastard!" Haejin swung the mop and hit Songnam squarely on the back of the neck. Songnam couldn't react in time and fell face first to the floor. Immediately, the whole group swarmed him, viciously kicking Songnam's body over and over. Witnessing this, Zhang Jin couldn't just stand by. He stepped out from his hiding spot. Haejin was the first to notice his presence and immediately turned his head to look. He pointed straight at Zhang Jin and yelled, "That's this guy's friend." Songnam heard him and tried to look up, thinking to himself, "Zhang Jin, why are you here?" Seeing Zhang Jin coldly advance, the thugs shouted, "Stop that guy." At the same time, Sang-nam struggled, yelling a warning. No. Jong-jin. He just coldly raised one arm high. The threads came undone, and a button popped off his shirt. Floating in the air, Jong-jin controlled the button, shooting it straight into Sang-nam's chest. Creating a hole, Sang-nam raised a hand to his chest, fresh blood pouring relentlessly from the wound. Even as he collapsed, Sang-nam managed to whisper, Jong-jin? Run. Go. The wall behind Sang-nam had a large hole blown through it from that last attack. Sang-nam lay motionless, face down on the floor, completely unconscious. Ji-ho turned around, curious. What was that? The blonde-haired thug scowled. What happened to him? The other two cursed and charged aggressively toward Jong-jin. Get him. Suddenly, the entire scene around them plunged into pitch blackness. Everything came back. But this time Jong-jin's face showed clear astonishment. Time rewound to the moment Jong-jin was hiding behind the door, listening to Hyun Cheon mock. You think you can hit me again? The events unfolded unchanged. Hyun Cheon smirked disdainfully. Did you forget who I am? Haejin also glanced at Sang-nam with a triumphant expression. Hyun Cheon raised his fist tauntingly. Hit me, or I won't let you off the hook. From his hiding spot, Jong-jin was still silently observing everything. Sang-nam, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke up. But I really, before he could finish, Haejin charged with the mop, yelling, Liar, you bastard. From a distance, Jong-jin flicked his index finger, secretly controlling an invisible force. Instantly, the mop in Haejin's hands abruptly changed direction. It flew straight ahead, smacking Hyun Cheon hard on his buzz-cut head. Haejin's face immediately paled, frozen in confusion. Hyun Cheon clutched his head and cursed. Haejin frantically waved his hands, stammering, Sorry. My hand slipped. His apology was immediately answered with a massive punch, sending Haejin flying backward. Satisfied, Jong-jin turned and walked away, ignoring Haejin, who was clutching his mouth and groaning, while Hyun Cheon roared, Get lost. Jong-jin gracefully vaulted over the wall, silently leaving the scene. Hyun Cheon clutched his head, staggering and dizzy. As Ji-ho quickly suggested, Go get some rest. I'll take care of this. Hyun Cheon waved him off. No. I'm going to smash him with my own hands. He shoved Ji-ho away, yelling, Get out of my way, Sang-nam then asked with concern. Are you okay? Hyun Cheon ignored him and charged forward aggressively. You should worry about yourself first. His fist flew straight forward, aiming right for Sang-nam's face. Sang-nam immediately tilted his head, dodging the blow with perfect precision. Having missed the punch, Hyun Cheon glared at Sang-nam. Filled with frustration, he spun around, jumped, and unleashed a powerful kick in his direction. This time, Sang-nam proactively took a step back to evade the attack. The backward step was a bit too deep, causing Sang-nam's back to slam into the railing wall. Hyun Cheon immediately seized the opportunity, rushing in to follow up with another punch. Pushed into a corner, Sang-nam had nowhere left to retreat and could only shut his eyes to brace for the hit. But the punch suddenly stopped just short of his face, and Hyun Cheon burst out laughing. Hyun Cheon silently assessed him. This kid's reflexes are pretty sharp. He smirked smugly. What? You scared? Don't be such a coward. Sang-nam Saihil. I don't actually like violence. Just go ahead and hit me. I won't dodge anymore. Hyun Cheon dismissed the offer, suggesting, That's too boring. Let's play a more interesting game. He then explained the rules. It's the wheat, rice, barley game. Rice is a punch, and barley is a tap. Hyun Cheon raised his fist as a threat. If you dodge the punch, you win. If I land it, I win. 10 rounds. Sang-nam hesitantly accepted, while his mind was in turmoil. Can I even dodge it? He began immediately, pointing at Sang-nam's forehead and shouting, Barley. Hyun Cheon smirked, repeating himself. Barley. A light tap landed on Sang-nam's cheek. Sang-nam immediately raised his hands to cover his face, repeating after him. Barley. Hyun Cheon patted his cheek lightly, mocking him. It's just barley. You towered. He continued to tap lightly, forcing Sang-nam to unconsciously repeat. Barley. Barley. Hyun Cheon rolled his shoulders, feigning boredom as he prepared to end the little game. Sang-nam stammered out. Rice. Hyun Cheon growled, thrusting his fist forward. This is it. Once again, Sangnam squeezed his eyes shut, preparing to take the full force of the blow, but his own clenched fist refused to accept defeat. His inner voice screaming, "I can't dodge," Sangnam decided to risk it all, swinging his own fist in retaliation, determined to see it through. As a result, their two fists collided head-on with each other. Both of them froze, and the atmosphere grew tense as their underlings watched. The smile on Hyuncheon's face vanished, replaced by a look of fury as he gritted his teeth. This crazy bastard. Immediately after, he turned on his heel and ordered his cronies. "Let's go," the blonde-haired guy asked in confusion. "What's wrong?" "Boss." The underling's gaze suddenly froze, his brow furrowing as he noticed something was wrong. He had just seen that Hyuncheon's hand was already swollen. He said worriedly, "Your hand." But Hyuncheon immediately snapped back, "I know." "Damn it." Hyuncheon hid his injury, leaving in a hurry and slamming the door behind him. Only then did Sangnam collapse to the floor, panting from exhaustion. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide, his mind still reeling in shock. What did I just do? At that moment, a figure slowly approached him. Sangnam struggled to turn his head to look. The person standing before him was none other than Jong Jin. The scene changes, and the streets outside are still bustling with people. Minho walked with his head down, muttering to himself. There must have been 2 time loops. He tried to piece it all together. The first time was when I was attacked, and the second was when everything froze. Is that the reason why time was reversed? He slaughters them, and I bring them back to life. Minho crossed the street, lost in thought. My ability to save people is what triggers the loop. Could he be a homicidal maniac? The thought filled him with intense anxiety. Suddenly, a voice calling from a distance startled Minho. "Hey, school kid." He saw a timid student turn around, and Inho immediately ordered, "Give me a few cigarettes." The other student politely refused, but the thug laughed loudly. "I just saw you smoking over there." "You liar." Inho stood up, approaching him menacingly. "I'm in a bad mood today. Maybe you need a beating." The terrified victim quickly agreed to hand over the cigarettes, but the thug waved him off. "Too late. Let me beat you up first." Minho quickly turned away, telling himself to pretend he didn't see anything to avoid getting dragged into it. He quickened his pace, walking straight to his part-time job. Standing behind the cash register, Minho bowed to a customer. "Goodbye. Have a nice day." He still couldn't stop worrying. Maybe our powers are opposites. Him killing people is what activates the loop. If that's the case, and he still tries to kill people, does that mean he enjoys it? Minho immediately dismissed the thought. No, my gut feeling tells me he isn't doing it for fun. An image of Jong Jin appeared in his mind, growling, "D. Ruler of time." Minho froze as he realized the truth. That's right. He called me the ruler of time. What exactly is a ruler of time? Is it some kind of power that can reverse the very flow of the universe? He reasoned it out himself. Maybe he's hunting people with time-related abilities, and that's why he's on a killing spree. He must have mistaken me for his real target, though I can't for the life of me understand why. He stared blankly at the monitor. Why is he so obsessed with hunting that person? If I just ignore it, will everything be okay? No way. He definitely doesn't remember anything about me. As he was lying on the rooftop, Sangnam suddenly heard the sound of approaching footsteps. He lazily opened his eyes, glancing over to see who had just arrived. Recognizing Jong Jin, Sangnam shot up excitedly, asking in a flurry, "What are you doing here? You haven't gone home yet." He stood up worriedly and walked around his friend, observing him. "Are you leaving? Are you okay?" All of a sudden, Jong Jin grabbed Sangnam tightly by the collar. He gritted his teeth, glaring as he demanded, "Why do you always have to meddle in my business?" A wave of anger mixed with sorrow washed over him as he remembered the last words. Jong Jin, run. Sangnam was completely bewildered. "What are you talking about? It's because we're friends." Jong Jin sneered contemptuously. "Friends? Don't give me that cliché nonsense. Tell me the truth. Who are you?" After a moment of silence, Sangnam decided to change the subject. "Hey, Jong Jin, do you still kill pigeons?" Jong Jin froze, asking in bewilderment. "What?" Immediately, the memory of the pigeons from long ago flooded his mind. Sangnam approached Jong Jin and then suddenly stopped. He looked around nervously, asking in confusion, "Hey, what is this?" Jong Jin's body trembled slightly. The young boy coldly turned his face away. Not flustered in the slightest, Sang-nam bowed his head and said sincerely, "Don't worry. I won't tell anyone, because you're the one who saved my life." Jung-jin froze, internally shocked. The person I met at the hospital back then was him. He coldly brushed Sang-nam's hand away and turned. "You're asking if I still kill pigeons?" "No. I've moved on to killing people now." Sang-nam was stunned, stammering, "People? You said people. What do you mean?" Jung-jin. He walked away silently, leaving behind a warning. "There's going to be some fun at school tomorrow. If you want to live, it's best you don't show up." Night fell, and Mrs. Ha-jin wearily pushed her cart of recyclables. She looked sadly at the pile of cardboard and sighed. "This still isn't enough. My grandson should be home soon, so I should probably pack up." Not far away, In-ho and Chan-ho's group were drinking loudly, bragging about their exploits. Hearing the rattling of the cart, In-ho turned his head in annoyance. "Who is that?" he snapped again irritably. "What the hell is this?" In-ho glared, demanding, "Is this old hag daring to take my things without asking?" Mrs. Ha-jin said nothing, continuing to silently pick up a few more pieces of cardboard. In-ho stood up angrily, growling, "Maybe you really are deaf." He furiously kicked out, knocking over Mrs. Ha-jin's cart. Mrs. Ha-jin was terrified, quickly pleading, I couldn't hear you clearly. I'm sorry. I didn't know it belonged to you." In-ho smirked, hurling an insult. "Is that so? You crazy old woman." Jun-yu and Chan-ho, who were sitting behind him, chuckled nonchalantly. In-ho immediately held out his hand behind him, ordering, "Give me the lighter." He grabbed a piece of cardboard, ripping it apart violently. In-ho flicked the lighter open, holding it close to the cardboard and growling, "Old woman, watch this closely." Mrs. Ha-jin scrambled forward to stop him, but it was too late. "Oh God. Son, please stop." In-ho ruthlessly shoved her hard, causing the old woman to fall to the ground. As he sneered, "Filthy old hag." Without a moment's hesitation, he threw the lit lighter straight into the pile of cardboard on the ground. Ha-jin desperately reached out her hand, whimpering, "Oh my God." My entire evening's work. The flames roared to life, quickly reducing the pile of scrap paper to ashes. In-ho, Jun-yu, and Chan-ho burst into gleeful laughter as the fire raged. At the same time, Min-ho had just finished his shift and was stepping out of the store. He was thinking to himself, "I just got paid. Maybe I should buy some meat to bring home." A loud noise from the direction of the park suddenly cut through Min-ho's thoughts. Min-ho squinted to get a better look, and gradually, he made out the horrifying scene. It was In-ho's crew, laughing and gloating as they tore up a pile of cardboard boxes. Ha-jin could only stand there, motionless, silently watching the flames consume all her hard work. As anger and frustration welled up inside him, Min-ho stammered, "Grandma, Grandma." He rushed over to help Ha-jin up, asking frantically, "What are you doing here, please? Stand up." Ha-jin took Min-ho's hand, trying to reassure him, "I'm okay. You should go on home ahead of me." Min-ho snapped back in frustration, "We'll go home together." Suddenly, In-ho's group approached them, feigning an apology. They quickly closed in, growling, "Can't you see we're busy having fun here? You should be a good boy and listen to your grandma." The leader grabbed Min-ho by the hair, yanking his head back. "Or maybe you want to join in on the fun." In-ho smirked, a look of pure contempt on his face, as he asked, "Do you?" Ha-jin frantically rushed over and fell to her knees, pleading, "It's all my fault. Please, just let him go." In-ho cruelly kicked her to the ground, roaring, "Don't you touch me, you filthy hag." Witnessing the scene, Min-ho let out a horrified, anguished cry. "Grandma." Ha-jin lay sprawled on the cold ground, groaning in pain. "Oh God." Seeing his grandmother being brutalized like that, tears streamed down Min-ho's face. How could they do this? He snapped his head up, demanding in a low, tight voice, "Why are you people doing this?" As soon as the words left his mouth, a stream of ice-cold liquid from a beer can was poured all over Min-ho's head. Jun-yu sneered as he emptied the can. "Now I'm out of beer because of your grandma. You little brat." He finished the can and threw it straight at Min-ho's head, then prepared to turn away. Immediately after, In-ho charged forward and landed a vicious kick to his face, sending him sprawling to the ground. The beer can was sent flying off in another direction from the force of the kick. The others feigned disappointment. Cursing. "You missed it, you kicked him instead. You idiot." In-ho continued his assault, delivering another crushing kick to Min-ho's stomach. Without a moment's hesitation, he kicked Min-ho straight in the face and yelled, "Goal." Dazed, Min-ho struggled to open his eyes as his weak voice called out, "Grandma." Before he passed out, he saw them excitedly shift their target to Ha-jin, also shouting, "Goal." Finally, exhausted and overwhelmed by excruciating pain, Min-ho lost consciousness. Elsewhere, Jong-jin had arrived at a massive container yard. He looked up, his gaze fixed on a single container sitting at the very top of a stack. Jong-jin held out his hand, and an invisible wave of energy erupted from him, causing his hair to fly back. The massive container began to tremble, emitting a loud, creaking sound as if it were being lifted into the air. It hovered majestically in mid-air, and Jong-jin smirked. Intrigued, he looked up at the sky, his face filled with confidence, and muttered to himself, "This should be enough." As soon as he spoke, the massive container plummeted back down to its original position. As dust billowed up, Jong-jin casually raised a hand to shield his face. His eyes narrowed as he calculated silently. "This will be enough to destroy everything at school tomorrow." As he walked in the door, Jong-jin heard his stepfather's voice asking, "Is our baby asleep now?" Tae-min was cheerfully rubbing Jong-jin's mother's pregnant belly, joking, "He just kicked you a second ago and now he's all quiet." He noticed Jong-jin's presence and turned with a smile. "Oh, you're home. Go eat some dinner." "We've already finished." Jong-jin politely declined. "It's all right, Uncle. I already ate with my friends." Nami leaned back in her chair and chided, "Are you still calling him that? Just call him Dad." Tae-min quickly tried to calm her. "It's all right. Getting upset isn't good for the baby." She immediately changed the subject. "Oh honey, he's kicking again." Her husband rushed over, exclaiming, "Really, let me feel." Jong-jin silently returned to his room and decisively removed his student ID card. He sat down at his desk, turned on his computer, and began searching for something. A school announcement appeared on the screen regarding an upcoming earthquake and fire safety drill. Meanwhile, Min-ho slowly came to, hearing Ha-jin's worried voice asking, "What are we going to do now?" He heard Ha-jin's panicked voice calling his name. Min-ho struggled to open his eyes, his body aching all over. As he whispered for his grandma, he quickly forced himself to sit up and worriedly checked on her. But Ha-jin just gave him a gentle smile, reassuring him that she was fine. Min-ho hugged her tightly, his voice choked with regret as he apologized over and over again. He was tormented by the thought that he should have gone to the police from the very beginning. At that same moment, a man named Jun-hoon was walking down a deserted street, making a phone call to Cheon-ho, holding a gift box. He tried to sound cheerful, saying he had something important to tell him, to which the person on the other end politely replied. Jun-hun smiled, sincerely apologizing to his son for being late on his birthday and promising that he would be home right away. While he was engrossed in the conversation, he was suddenly shoved hard in the shoulder by Chan-ho. The forceful impact sent the gift box in Jun-hun's hand tumbling to the ground. He stared at the fallen gift, while Chan-ho and his friends just burst into mocking laughter. Annoyed, Jun-hoon turned around and demanded that the young man at least offer an apology. Chan-ho immediately spun around, closing the distance between them and growling in a threatening tone. Jun-hoon was a little taken aback, but he stood his ground and repeated his demand for an apology. Chan-ho immediately grabbed him by the collar and started to drag him away, causing the terrified Jun-hun to start pleading. I'll leave right now. I'm sorry." Jun-hoon tried to flee, but after taking only a few steps, he glanced back over his shoulder. Chan-ho was right on his heels. The thug brutally grabbed Jun-hoon by the hair and yanked him backward. Chan-ho let out a wild laugh as he raised his fist, preparing to strike him from behind. But just before the punch could land, a figure suddenly darted in between them. Min-ho had used his own body to shield Jun-hun. Taking the full force of the blow himself, Chan-ho stared in shock at the stranger, and the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Min-ho's entire body trembled as he struggled to suppress a sob caught in his throat. Chan-ho narrowed his eyes, trying to get a good look at the person who had just interfered. Suddenly, Min-ho gripped Chan-ho's wrist tightly, and a jolt of electricity shot through the bully. Chan-ho recoiled from the shock, hastily pulling his hand back and stumbling into Jun-yu, who was standing beside him. Jun-yu immediately charged forward, demanding in a harsh voice, Who the hell are you to interfere with our business? Minho ignored him, instead turning to Junhoon and urging him to run, and the panting man quickly nodded. Seeing this, an enraged Junyu delivered a swift kick to Minho's stomach. Caught off guard, Minho staggered and dropped to his knees. Clutching his stomach in pain, Junyu jutted his chin out and ordered Chanho to pull off the guy's hood. Chanho stepped forward, roughly yanked off his hood, and growled, "Who the hell are you? Do you even know who you're messing with?" Reacting on instinct, Minho grabbed Chanho's wrist in a vice-like grip, preventing him from moving. He then began to channel that strange energy into Chanho's arm. Chanho was suddenly racked with a powerful shock, forcing him to grit his teeth in agony. Minho slowly rose to his feet, his grip unwavering, completely ignoring Chanho's pained curses. Chanho collapsed to the ground, unconscious, causing a panicked Junyu to start shouting at him, but Chanho was already out cold, foaming at the mouth and completely unresponsive. Junyu suddenly realized how serious the situation was and started to become fearful and cautious. He recklessly charged forward and ripped the hood off of Minho's head. Upon seeing Minho's face, Junyu screamed in terror. What the hell is this? Blood trickled from the corner of Minho's mouth, a result of the kick he had taken earlier. He calmly wiped the blood from his lip, his expression completely unfazed. The scene flashes back to earlier, with Hajin resting in her bed. Minho quietly closed her bedroom door, his heart heavy with worry. His mother, Sujin, gently reassured him, "She's going to be fine. You should go get some sleep." But Minho couldn't help but torture himself with the thought that if he had just called the police earlier, none of this would have happened. Sujin squeezed her son's hand tightly, telling him not to blame himself. When Minho began to cry, she held him closer, trying to comfort him. "Everything's going to be okay. It's not your fault." Minho then went into the bathroom to change his clothes, preparing for what he had planned. He carefully concealed his identity, making sure that absolutely no one would be able to recognize him. In the dead of the silent night, Minho secretly climbed out of his window and melted into the shadows. Minho calmly flew through the air, speeding towards his target. His face was now filled with a murderous aura, completely determined to avenge his grandmother. Junyu was stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. "What's wrong with you, man?" He tilted his head foolishly and asked with a sneer, "What's the matter? Did that old hag send you to get revenge?" Minho raised his hand, his eyes fixed in a deathly glare upon his enemy. Unaware of the danger, Junyu continued his taunts. "Are you trying to get revenge for her?" Immediately, Minho lunged forward, his hand aimed straight for his opponent's face. However, Junyu reacted with incredible speed, ducking to dodge the blow and causing the attack to miss. Minho was stunned for a moment, revealing a brief opening. Junyu instantly seized the opportunity, landing a counterpunch right in his face. Seeing Minho double over, Junyu immediately spun around, preparing to follow up with a kick. Junyu delivered a powerful kick, slamming it into Minho's stomach without any mercy. The force sent Minho flying backward, and he collapsed helplessly on the ground. That guy Junyu immediately approached him, demanding, "Where are you hiding the weapon? Hand over the thing you used to knock her out." "No." Minho didn't answer, but his eyes quickly darted down to Junyu's foot. He instantly activated his power, aiming it straight at his opponent's foot. Junyu let out a blood-curdling scream of excruciating pain. Seizing the opportunity, Minho immediately grabbed his wrist tightly. Minho stood up, watching his enemy slowly crumple to his knees as he stammered, "What the hell is this?" Minho glared and growled, "This isn't revenge. This is to stop you from creating more victims." Although terrified, Junyu still stubbornly threatened, "You crazy bastard." Minho immediately intensified his power, forcing Junyu to stammer and beg, "Stop. Let me go." He let go and turned to leave, issuing a warning, "Don't ever hurt the weak again." Junyu struggled to his feet and immediately turned and fled in the opposite direction. Only after running a safe distance did he dare to stop, yelling curses. "Damn it. You bastard." Only when his enemy was long gone did Minho collapse. Clutching his knees and gasping for breath, he tried to recall the events. There were clearly 3 loops. When was the 3rd loop? "Mr." Junhoon approached from behind and bowed his head in gratitude. Minho, finally remembering, quickly replied, "It was nothing." "Seer?" The man asked worriedly about the strange weapon. "That stunning device." Minho quickly waved his hands, trying to cover it up. "It's not like that. Sia, I just know a few self-defense moves. He bowed deeply in farewell. Please get home safely. See ya. Mr. Junhoon thanked him once more before hurrying away. After the man was gone, Minho wondered to himself, I can't believe I actually saved someone. It feels so strange. Grandma, did I do the right thing? At school. The first class of the day was filled with a tired and sluggish atmosphere. A firefighter was giving a safety lecture, emphasizing that putting out a fire is just like sweeping the floor. The instructor asked a question. Does anyone know how long a fire extinguisher lasts when you use it? Answers rang out. But Songnam wasn't paying attention at all. His eyes constantly darting outside. The teacher announced the answer was 15 seconds. But Songnam didn't hear a thing. His mind was consumed by a single thought. Where is Jongjin? Songnam recalled the warning. Something fun's happening at school. Don't come if you want to live. An overwhelming sense of dread washed over him. Jongjin, what are you planning to do? At that very moment, Jongjin was hurtling down from the sky like a meteor. His face was cold, his hair whipping back in the wind. A sign of bad things to come. He wasn't descending alone. He was pulling a massive shipping container along with him. Meanwhile, in another corner of the school, Minho was shoved hard, pinned tightly against a wall. Junho glared, resuming his bullying. About that thing with Na Songnam yesterday. Pretend you didn't see anything. He growled. Got it. Minho kept his head down as Hyun Chan suddenly appeared, bringing up an old murder case. The guy warned. So, don't go spouting nonsense. Mina didn't dare to look up, only nodding in submission. Okay, I get it. Junho turned to Hyun Cheon. So what should we do about Na Songnam now? The other guy narrowed his eyes. Hold on, I'm thinking. Minho suddenly looked up, his gaze unconsciously sweeping across the sky. He was stunned by the strange objects hovering high above. Minho squinted, trying to identify the person up there with the items. Aren't those shipping containers? Seeing Minho fall silent, Junho snapped in bewilderment. What's wrong with you? You bastard. Hyuncheon looked up curiously as well. What the hell is that? Both of them screamed in terror. The two bullies fainted and collapsed on the ground, leaving Minho standing there dumbfounded. Minho looked up, analyzing the situation. No way. Is the target the gym? All the students are gathered inside. Songnam turned to Jia-hyu worriedly. Hey. The girl replied curtly. What? He asked anxiously. Have you seen Jongjin anywhere? Jia-hyu closed her eyes and said nonchalantly. He's probably skipping class again. Just let him sleep. But Songnam still felt uneasy. I have a really bad feeling about this. Meanwhile, Jongjin calculated from above. This should be enough to wipe them all out. Whether you're the time dominator or just some bastard. Jongjin's eyes blazed with suppressed anger and determination. I'll make you shine with this gift. With that, he swung his arm, commanding the containers to plummet toward the crowd of students. Minho could only let out a desperate cry. No, the scream caught Jongjin's attention, and he immediately turned his head to look down. Minho glared back, gritting his teeth as he snapped his head up. Minho's gaze locked onto Jongjin high above. The guy also looked down, assessing his target. On Jongjin's command, the massive containers hurtled down right in front of Minho. Their falling speed was terrifying, as if an invisible force was accelerating them. As expected, the steel block slammed into the foundation of the gym. A large chunk of concrete broke off from the ceiling, crashing down right in front of Minho. Inside the gym, the crowd panicked, screaming and shoving to find a way out. This way, run. Songnam kept trying to look back as he ran. Another container smashed through the ceiling, plummeting down. Songnam tripped on a piece of debris and lost his balance. He fell heavily to the floor with a thud. Right above him, a slab of concrete was falling, and Songnam could only gape, waiting for death. Jia-hyu immediately grabbed him and pulled him along. Get up. You idiot. Just as they got clear, the slab smashed the floor to pieces. At the same time, Minho was using all his strength, trying to push off the concrete slab, pinning him down. He gritted his teeth, his muscles bulging as he strained against the weight. Finally, Minho managed to toss the slab of debris aside. The burst of strength left him panting heavily. Nearly exhausted, Minho immediately looked up. Watching for his enemy's next move, he quickly shot into the air, yelling, Please, stop this now. Jongjin glanced over with amusement. So you've finally shown yourself. Who are you? Minho was stunned. No way. Did you cause all this just to find me? Zhang Jin ignored him, his eyes scanning the name tag. Kang Min-ho. Just as I thought. A second-year student. He hesitated, glancing down at the ground. Sang-nam was lying motionless under a rock, covered in injuries. Zhang Jin muttered a curse under his breath. That bastard. Min-ho pleaded desperately. I'm not the one you're looking for, please. Stop. Zhang Jin gritted his teeth, his fury erupting. He raised his hand provocatively. Then instantly, countless beams of light pierced through Min-ho's body. He was in extreme agony, his hand reaching out helplessly as he managed only a few unintelligible sounds, unable to bear it any longer. Min-ho's body began to freefall toward the ground. Zhang Jin gritted his teeth, thinking angrily, it's not him. So the time controller isn't Min-ho. He threw his head back and let out a roar of pure frustration. The surrounding scenery suddenly lost its color, leaving only black and white. Time reversed to the scene where Hyun Xian and Junho were harassing Min-ho. You were involved in that incident before, weren't you? Junho's face was grim as he growled his question. Don't tell me. His words were cut off by a basketball flying past him. The ball slammed right into the middle of Junho's face. Both Hyun Cheon and Junho went tumbling to the floor. Min-ho, standing close to the wall, was lucky enough to dodge the throw. Zhang Jin walked over, casually catching the bouncing ball. Min-ho stared in shock at the newcomer, stammering, You. Min-ho was bewildered. How did he find me here? Zhang Jin spun the ball in his hand and began his interrogation. Kang Min-ho, who are you? Really? You're the one who created the time loop during 5th period yesterday. Min-ho was instantly panicked. How did you know? Zhang Jin suddenly turned his back and started to walk away. Instantly, countless sharp stone spikes erupted from the ground behind Min-ho. Sensing the killing intent, Min-ho quickly whipped his head around. A volley of sharp leaves shot straight toward him. The razor-sharp leaves stopped, aimed directly at Min-ho's vital points. Zhang Jin commanded coldly, Get your friends out of here. I don't know if you're an obstacle, but you've missed a few things. Every single time you triggered the time loop. I was aware of it. Min-ho panicked, his pupils constricting. I don't remember anything about the loops, but he knows everything. Min-ho had to confess. Me too. I've realized there were a few loops. Usually when I saw you attack someone, I figured out why you're doing this. You want to find the one who's truly controlling the loop, right? Min-ho lowered his head, his voice filled with despair. I'm just a victim like you. The loop itself is what stops me from saving them. Zhang Jin glared at him, emphasizing his words. Save people. You can save someone who's already dead. Min-ho quickly nodded in confirmation. That's right. But whenever I save someone, time immediately reverses. I can help you. Min-ho held out his hand, proposing. Let's work together to find a way to break this loop. Please, don't hurt anyone else. This offer only made Zhang Jin more irritable. We might be in the same boat. But what help could you possibly be to me? Do you think I have any other way to test this loop besides taking action? Despite being threatened, Min-ho tried to provide information. Actually, something very strange happened yesterday. Time reversed much further back than usual. It's possible the loop we've been triggering has been interfered with. Zhang Jin froze, full of doubt. What the loop was interfered with? Zhang Jin stared intently at Min-ho, his eyes filled with suspicion. Min-ho hesitated, replying, I'm not sure, but… Min-ho tried to explain. I'm certain that time went back further than ever before, because I managed to save the teacher. This information immediately made Zhang Jin frown. He ordered in a stern voice, How is that possible? Tell me everything that happened. Min-ho began to recount the details of the day Zhang Jin came to the classroom and attacked everyone, including the teacher. I successfully saved the teacher. I know it's meaningless within the loop, but I couldn't just stand by and watch. The moment you attacked me, the loop was triggered. But then, something extremely strange happened. Min-ho slowly emphasized. Time didn't reverse. It stood still. Zhang Jin couldn't believe it. What? Seeing Zhang Jin's doubt, Min-ho continued. Except for me. Everything was motionless, including you. But on closer inspection, it wasn't frozen. It was moving in super slow motion. That state lasted for a moment, then suddenly shattered. And another loop was activated. Min-ho lowered his head and muttered. It seems like it was a loop within a loop. Hearing this, a flicker of agitation appeared in Zhang Jin's eyes. Could something like that really happen? Minho continued. When I came to, time had returned to before class even started, instead of right before the teacher was attacked like usual. Hearing that, Jongjin rested his chin on his hand and began to deduce. If what you're saying is true, it seems whoever activated that nested loop was able to retain their memories. His bangs hid his expression as Jongjin moved closer to Minho, his voice low. Because I don't remember anything at all. Minho nodded. I thought so too. Minho calmly proposed a theory. Could it be that person hijacked control of the loop and stole our memories in the process? Jongjin's eyes darted around immediately, a series of new questions popping into his head. The loop can be hijacked. Then how many times have we actually gone back? Jongjin suddenly held out his hand, a strange smile appearing on his face. Now, this is getting interesting. As he finished speaking, the sharp leaves pointed at Minho shot forward, making him jump in alarm. Jongjin declared coldly, I need to verify this. I won't just take your word for it. He asked nonchalantly, You said you'd help me. Right. Minho could only move his lips, mumbling a reply. Ahead of them, Hyun Cheon and Junho's group were still unconscious, scattered across the ground. Jongjin suddenly presented a condition. If you want to cooperate, then revive these bastards after I kill them. This proposal left Minho stunned. He shouted, What? Why would you do that? Jongjin explained casually. Revive them, and then I'll kill them again to hijack your loop. Minho stammered. But that… In contrast to Minho's worried expression, Jongjin just glanced over indifferently. Don't stress out. This is just an experiment. Minho broke out in a cold sweat, his voice trembling. But this makes me an accomplice to murder. Jongjin moved closer, smirking. They bullied you constantly. Why should you feel guilty for that trash? Minho still hesitated. You're right. They aren't good people. But to directly kill someone… Finally, he bowed his head, muttering his refusal. I'm sorry. I can't. Jongjin ignored the refusal. He turned away coldly. Then there's no other way. I'll just keep killing them until you agree. Minho was aghast at his decision. What did you just say? Jongjin casually retracted the leaves. What's the problem? Isn't it better to just kill those insects? I'll kill them over and over again. Minho rushed forward in a panic, spreading his arms to block Jongjin, and yelled, No. Don't. Do you really intend to kill them? He looked at him with pleading eyes. I won't cooperate with you this way. The resistance made Jongjin lose his patience. The leaves pointed straight at Minho. You talk too much. In that case, I'll kill you first. As he finished speaking, the leaves tore through the air, flying straight toward Minho, who was still standing motionless. Minho only had time to widen his eyes, watching in terror as the image of the leaves magnified rapidly in his pupils. On reflex, Minho raised his hand to block, and a sudden burst of pink lightning erupted from his palm. The blinding light from the electric arc illuminated Jongjin's usually calm face, now covered in suspicion. He muttered, Impossible. Wasn't his ability revival? Jongjin's ray erupted, and an invisible pressure sent the surrounding leaves scattering into the air. Jongjin clenched his fists, growling angrily. You dared to hide your real power. You bastard. All the leaves on the ground were lifted up, hovering in the air with their sharp points aimed at Minho. Jongjin flicked his hand, and all the leaves formed a razor-sharp storm, launching toward the target in unison. Minho witnessed the devastating attack and quickly yelled, Wait. At that moment, Minho's body was thrown into the sky by the wind pressure, his terrified scream echoing. Jongjin frowned, annoyed, and waved his hand, controlling the trajectory of the leaf storm. The leaves immediately obeyed, hitting the wall and bouncing back to form an encirclement. While hovering in the air, Minho's eyes suddenly widened as he seemed to realize something. Their trajectory. With that thought, Minho immediately twisted his body, dodging the barrage of leaves that were zipping past like bullets. Right after, quick as a flash, Minho reached out and grabbed a leaf that was flying at his face. It stopped instantly, held firm in midair. From below, Jongjin, who was watching intently, was startled when that very same leaf shot back, grazing his face. A bleeding cut appeared on Jongjin's cheek, making him even more suspicious. Minho landed on the ground, paunting wearily. He requested, Stop. I don't want to fight you. But Jongjin had lost control. He roared, grinding his teeth. Then do exactly as I say. As he finished speaking, an invisible force tightened around Minho's throat. Jung Jin swung his arm, lifting Minho's body into the air, causing him to struggle in pain. Minho choked, his hands clawing at his neck, his voice breaking. There has to be another way. Please, don't kill them. Jung Jin didn't listen. He clenched his fist, controlling the invisible force to slam Minho into the wall behind him. He roared, his rage completely unleashed. Shut up. A deafening crash echoed out. Minho screamed in pain, his body going limp, feeling as if his bones had been shattered. Jung Jin's ice-cold gaze locked onto Minho as he commanded, choose one of them to start the experiment. He growled, forcing out each word. The deadline is tonight. You don't have a choice. Jung Jin gritted his teeth, his threat chilling to the bone. You'd better obey if you don't want to see your family die a horrible death. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his hand, and Minho was instantly lifted into the air. Another decisive flick of his wrist followed, mercilessly throwing Minho against the brick wall with a sickening thud. His body went limp, sliding down to the cold, hard floor. Minho was in too much pain to speak, his mouth only managing to form weak, whimpering groans. Right in front of him, Jung Jin stood staring down with a stern expression. Just a few seconds later, Minho's vision went black. Back at the school, the grounds outside were deserted, without a single person in sight. Inside a classroom, the teacher announced, today, our class has a new student. The teacher prompted her casually, say hello to everyone. Ha Yun. The girl immediately waved with a radiant smile. Hi everyone. I'm Song Ha Yun. The students below started buzzing. She's so pretty. Totally my type. Ha Yun continued with a friendly gaze. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I hope we can get along well. I've lived abroad, so my pronunciation isn't perfect. I hope you'll bear with me. An excited male student shouted. What are you doing? Let's give her a round of applause. The girl next to him yawned. Bored. You're being so extra. The teacher pointed. You can sit over there. Amidst the noisy atmosphere, only Jung Jin kept his head down, lost in thought. If the experiment succeeds, I'll be able to summon the time controller. He pursed his lips, calculating silently. That's right. I have to exploit that loop. It's the only way to take that bastard down. Jung Jin's will was absolutely resolute. This experiment must succeed. The moment Ha Yun walked past his seat, she glanced at him briefly and gave him a knowing smile. Time flew by, and it was evening after school let out. Minho was on the phone as he walked. Yes. Mom. I'm on my way home. A friend. What friend? As soon as that name was mentioned, he repeated in alarm. Jung Jin. Minho's pace quickened drastically, his mind screaming. No. Mom. He sprinted ahead, muttering in despair. Grandma. As soon as he got home, Minho forcefully shoved the door open and burst inside. Su Jin glanced over and asked, Why are you in such a rush? Your friend is still waiting. Minho kept his head down as he took off his shoes. Where's Grandma? Mom. His mother's words made Minho grit his teeth. She's in the living room. Don't worry. Go hang out with your friend. Without hesitation, Minho dashed straight to his bedroom and threw the door open. At that moment, the first thing he saw was Jung Jin sitting leisurely in a chair, controlling levitating apple slices with his hand. Noticing Minho's arrival, he immediately turned around, his razor-sharp gaze not bothering to hide its hostility. Minho walked in slowly, his voice filled with irritation. You. How did you know where I live? Jung Jin smirked, answering nonchalantly. Your ID card, from when you passed out. Hearing this, Minho trembled with anger. He clenched his fists, trying to restrain himself. Get out. Jung Jin used a levitating fork to spear a slice of apple, then asked, Want some? Your mom peeled these for me. Jung Jin's indifferent attitude made Minho lose control. I told you to get out. The words had barely left his mouth when the fork shot past him, embedding itself in the wooden door right behind him. Minho froze, his eyes wide with shock. Jung Jin tilted his head casually and said, Sorry. My hand slipped. The loud noise caught Su Jin's attention. Her voice called out, Is everything all right? Son. Minho answered through gritted teeth. It's nothing. Mom. She then replied. Oh. Okay then. Jung Jin swiveled his chair around to face him directly and demanded, Have you decided yet who is going to be the one to die to be saved? Minho turned his face away resolutely. No matter how many times you ask, I will never kill anyone. But before he could finish, the scenery around Minho suddenly began to shake. A purple light flared up, illuminating his horrified face. Minho's eyes widened as he looked around, thinking, "The time loop?" he asked, trembling. "You. What did you just do?" That expression made Zhang Jin sneer. "What?" "Surprised I've already killed your mother. And of course, you too." Minho was frozen on the spot, completely stunned into silence. "What?" His hands clenched so tightly, his knuckles turned white. His body shaking uncontrollably. Minho's eyes gradually turned red. In a fit of absolute turmoil, he growled through clenched teeth, each word filled with rage. "You're not human anymore. You beast." However, the curse had no effect on Zhang Jin. He coolly delivered his next threat. "Next time, it will be your grandmother." Minho was still confused, but the idea that the loop was being disrupted was just a guess. Just how important was this experiment anyway? Zhang Jin looked him straight in the eye and snarled. "Of course it's important. Because I need to summon that bastard." Minho hesitated before asking. "That bastard? You mean the one who controls the loop?" The fork in the door slowly slid out as Zhang Jin's voice deepened. "That's right. The time controller." He casually caught it and continued. "Everything I know. I already told you back in Vietnam." Then, Zhang Jin used the fork to spear a slice of apple. "My plan is to disrupt the loop until it shatters the flow of time." Zhang Jin calculated grimly. "If he dares to cause trouble, I'll return it to him tenfold. Just like that bastard's curse." Zhang Jin's words ignited a firestorm of rage in Minho. He bit his lip, suppressing his resentment. How many more people does he plan to kill? It's best to accept his offer for now, then find a chance to strike back. Minho reluctantly nodded in agreement. "I understand your plan. You can go now." The more Zhang Jin heard, the more interesting it became. He smirked triumphantly. "I'll play along with you." Zhang Jin slowly stood up, and Minho quickly added, "I'll let you know the time and place tomorrow." Zhang Jin immediately closed the distance between them. Cornering Minho, he snarled, "The person chosen for the experiment will be decided by me." Instantly, Zhang Jin slammed his hand against the door behind Minho. The violent impact made the wooden frame tremble, intimidatingly pinning him in place. Zhang Jin spoke, his voice filled with amusement. "I just found an extremely interesting test subject." Minho tensed up and warned through gritted teeth. "Don't you dare touch my mother and grandmother, or I won't let you get away with it." A few minutes later, the small alley was submerged in silence, with only the sound of Zhang Jin's steady footsteps echoing. Slow like the ticking of a clock, he looked down at his phone, the screen's light reflecting on his face, revealing an unconcealable interest. "There's still one more." The screen displayed a photo of a brightly smiling Min Yang. Zhang Jin said in a sinister tone, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Kang Minho. After leaving Minho's house, Zhang Jin walked silently down the small, deserted street, where not a single person was passing by. He gripped his phone tightly, his eyes filled with a strange excitement. There's still one more target. The screen clearly showed a picture of Min Yang. "I'm not wrong, am I?" Minho. Outside the door, a hand reached up and knocked gently a few times. Su Jin slowly wheeled herself closer, her voice hospitable. "Minho will be home soon. You can have this while you wait." Zhang Jin was still sitting with his back to her, shadows obscuring half his face, hiding his unreadable expression. Finally, Zhang Jin tilted his head slightly, replying blandly, "Yes. Thank you, ma'am." He accepted the plate of peeled apples, then suddenly asked, "But when will Minho's father be back?" Su Jin lowered her head, a hint of sadness on her face. "Minho's father passed away in a car accident 5 years ago." She gently turned her wheelchair around, her tone reassuring. "It's all right. Don't worry about it. Please, make yourself at home." But just then, Zhang Jin suddenly spoke up, his tone laden with hidden meaning. "Ma'am, wait. Does Minho have a girlfriend?" Hearing this, Su Jin paused, asking in surprise. "A girlfriend? Minho has never dated anyone." Zhang Jin's eyes narrowed with interest. "Is that so? There's a girl standing next to Minho in this picture. He must be hiding her from you." With that, he quickly held his phone out. "Do you know this girl?" As soon as she saw the picture, Su Jin laughed. "Oh, you mean Min Yang?" That's Minho's younger sister. Jongjin asked curiously. He has a sister. She slowly nodded in confirmation. Yes. There's a 3-year age difference between them, but due to family circumstances, she has been living with her aunt since she was 10. Jongjin then smiled in return. No wonder she looks so much like Minho. At that exact moment, 2 forks on the table suddenly began to vibrate, then shot up to levitate in midair. They spun once before darting straight towards Su-jin. She was too stunned to react, as Jongjin spoke calmly, his voice growing colder. But ma'am, his hair began to stand on end, his eyes flashing with a mysterious light. I need you to tell me which school she attends. The dim light cast upon Su-jin's face revealed her absolute terror. A fork hovered right at her neck as Jongjin continued his threat. I still have some important things to accomplish. Back in the present, Jongjin was still looking down, staring intently at his phone. Minho pressed his lips together tightly, a bitter resentment swelling in his chest. He screamed internally. What did that bastard do to my mom? I can never forgive him. Just then, Su-jin saw her son standing dazedly by the window and walked over to ask what was wrong. Oh my gosh. What happened to your uniform? Minho clenched his jaw, his eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions as he hesitated and about to speak, but then stopping himself, he bent down and took his mother's hand, trying to explain that he just fell on the way home. But Su-jin asked worriedly, were your friends bullying you again? Minho quickly shook his head. No, it's not like that. Mom. Minho's hand squeezed his mother's tighter as he mumbled. I'm sorry. Mom. Su-jin grew even more confused. What's wrong? Did something happen to you? Minho hesitated. No, it's just that, at that moment, Ha-jin walked over with her hands behind her back, asking if she should mend the uniform for him. Su-jin quickly refused. There's no need. Mom, I can handle it. But her mother replied, he has to wear it tomorrow. Who are you going to find to fix it at this hour? Finally, Ha-jin looked up at her grandson and advised him to just listen to her. Minho had no choice but to stand up, awkwardly scratching his neck. Yes. Okay, Minho immediately asked with concern. Grandma, do you want me to massage your legs for you? But Ha-jin just turned away coolly, her voice soft yet firm. Go to your homework. Minho's hand froze in midair and his gaze fell sadly, a lump forming in his throat as he thought, Mom, Grandma, I will definitely protect you both. A short while later, at a deserted construction site, a blinding pink flash of light suddenly erupted from a hidden corner. Minho, dressed in concealing clothes, raised his hand and observed the small sparks of electricity weaving around his fingers. Minho furrowed his brow, trying to recall the last moment. How on earth did I do that? Back then, he had only put his hand out to block it as a reflex. Yet the leaf immediately stopped. That wasn't my intention. Then it shot off, grazing right past Jongjin's face, and he realized with a heavy heart that he had done it unconsciously. With that thought, Minho bent down and picked up a small stone from the ground. He stared intently at the stone, his heart filled with hesitation. Should I try it again? Minho immediately held out his hand, and thin currents like silver threads began to gather, crackling and hissing as they broke the silence. But in a fleeting second, the stone in his palm suddenly spun out of control and fell straight to the ground. Minho quietly bent down to pick up the stone, his brain working at full speed to analyze the situation. So that's how it is. He tossed the stone in his hand, his mind filled with questions. Do I really have to use my whole arm? Shaking off his thoughts, Minho suddenly pulled his arm back and, with all his might, hurled the stone into the air. A powerful bolt of lightning shot out from his palm, instantly latching onto the hovering stone. The lightning-encased stone shot towards a neat pile of bricks, and a massive explosion erupted instantly, engulfing the entire area in smoke and dust. The dust gradually settled, revealing a deep crater in the middle of the shattered bricks. Clear proof of an extraordinary destructive power. Minho was stunned as he witnessed the result, marveling to himself. I can't believe I can create power of this magnitude. He looked down at his arm, determined to practice more. Or maybe I should try increasing its power even more. Immediately after, Minho once again aimed his arm at the ruined pile of bricks. The familiar electrical currents instantly reappeared, crackling intensely around his fingers before condensing and stretching out. Instantly, a terrifying explosion erupted, and the immense pressure threw Minho backward. Minho groaned in pain, muttering under his breath. This method isn't working. Minho frustratedly yanked off his hat and mask, his face showing clear resentment. All of my attacks were blocked by his teleportation, and my defense is way too weak. He replayed the battle in his mind. If he gets close to me, I'll be completely overwhelmed. There has to be a way. Minho looked down, calculating. My moves only rely on my hands, so speed is the key. Ideally, I need to be able to dodge all of his attacks. At that thought, he let out another frustrated sigh. The plan is easy, but actually executing it is the real problem. At the same time, a strange figure quietly appeared in the distance, but Minho was still lost in thought. If only I had someone to spar with. The scene shifts to the city area, where the streets are eerily quiet, with not a single person in sight. On the rooftop of a skyscraper, a large man sat with a blank expression, waiting. He was Hyun Cheon, and he crossed his arms, muttering impatiently. Why hasn't that bastard shown up yet? He recalled that moment when Sang-nam had frantically shaken his arm. His voice hurried. Senior Hyun Cheon, wake up. Hyun Cheon had irritably slapped Sang-nam's hand away and snapped, Damn it. You're yelling too loud. I'm awake. You son of a bitch. Shut the hell up. Sang-nam had bowed his head low, his voice full of panic. What do we do now? Hyun Cheon shook his head irritably. I don't fucking know. Damn it. It felt like we were attacked by something, but I can't remember clearly. Hyun Cheon couldn't help but curse. Who the hell was that bastard? I'm so pissed. Just then, Sang-nam suddenly spoke up. Senior. Hyun Cheon immediately raised his hand to signal him. Wait a minute. Don't wake him up. He glanced at Sang-nam, his voice suddenly dropping to a mysterious low tone. Hey, I need to talk to you about something. Meet me on the rooftop tonight. Sang-nam was bewildered. Who? What is it? Hyun Cheon smirked, a sinister smile on his face. Don't get scared. You idiot. It's not for a fight. Just come alone. Got it. Back in the present. Hyun Cheon took a drag from his cigarette, blew out a cloud of gray smoke, and sighed in frustration. At that very moment, from the shadows, the sound of footsteps echoed. Slowly and steadily drawing closer, Hyun Cheon spoke in a mocking tone. So you're finally here. Sang-nam, why are your footsteps so light? You want to, but instantly, a blinding, brilliant purple light slammed right into his face. Hyun Cheon only had time to widen his eyes, his pupils contracting in terror. A wave of horror washed over Hyun Cheon, causing him to tremble uncontrollably as the cigarette fell from his mouth. He stammered, What the hell? You. What are you? The footsteps continued to draw closer, getting nearer with each step, bringing with them an invisible pressure that weighed heavily on him. Hyun Cheon's entire body was shaking violently, but he still braced himself and growled, This is crazy. Don't come any closer. I said stop. His still bandaged hand gripped the railing tightly in an unconscious effort to maintain his last bit of balance. The forceful grip aggravated the wound on his wrist, and a sharp pain flared up. Hyun Cheon screamed, quickly clutching his arm, his face pale with agony. Immediately after the surge of pain, his massive body lost its balance. He staggered and then teetered right on the edge of the rooftop. In that moment of freefall, Hyun Cheon let out a blood-curdling scream, his desperate cry echoing across the rooftop. Damn it. His screams continued to echo, growing fainter as he fell, before fading into silence in the empty air. Just then, Sang-nam finally ran up, his face covered in sweat from rushing. He panted, I'm sorry, Senior. I had to sneak out, so I'm a little late. However, the rooftop was completely deserted. Sang-nam called out in bewilderment. Hasn't Senior arrived yet? He looked at his phone in confusion, muttering to himself. Could it be that he got tired of waiting and left? But he should have at least let me know. The moment he pressed the call button, a familiar ringtone suddenly sounded nearby. Sang-nam froze and quickly looked around. Oh, maybe he's already here. Without a moment's hesitation, Sang-nam immediately followed the sound, calling out loudly, Senior, are you here? But the sight that met his eyes at that moment was the massive body of Hyun Cheon lying motionless on the ground. In a pool of dark red blood below, Sang-nam's eyes widened in horror, and he let out a blood-curdling scream. Senior. The next morning, on the school grounds, students began to gather in increasing numbers. Ja-hyun walked up with a friendly smile. Ha Hyun. I'll text you later. Ha Hyun glanced at her. Just add me to the group chat. Ja Hyun paused for a second. Oh. I'll invite you right now. Jia Hyun immediately noticed the heavy atmosphere behind her. Sangnam's somber expression made her suspicious. What on earth happened? Jong Jin, next to him, was also unusually silent. This atmosphere just wasn't right. Thinking this, Jia Hyun immediately walked over and said in a teasing voice, Hey, why are you so quiet today? Not talking about my Jong Jin like you usually do. Sangnam wearily brushed her off. Don't tease me. I couldn't sleep last night. Jia Hyun turned to him and asked confusedly, What's wrong? Is there a problem? Memories of last night flooded back into Sangnam's mind. The piercing siren of an ambulance. Paramedics carrying Hyun Cheon's body away. At that time, his eyes were shut tight, and he was lying completely motionless. Back in the present, Sangnam lowered his head wearily. It's better if you don't know. This has nothing to do with you. Jia Hyun persisted. But I was really worried. She crossed her arms and puffed out her cheeks, guessing to herself, What happened? I'm so curious. Did they get into a fight? I'm really worried. Is he okay? Jia Hyun's gaze shifted to Jong Jin. What has he been doing this whole time? But the sight that met her eyes was him zooming in on a picture of Min Yang. Jia Hyun was astonished. Her eyes wide as she stared at the girl's picture. She clenched her fists and quickly looked away. Why is that psycho looking at that picture? What is this? It's giving me goosebumps. Just then, Chan Ho burst into the classroom from out of nowhere, yelling, Hey, Nam Sang Nam. He aggressively advanced towards Song Nam and kicked his chair away. Jia Hyun, who was standing nearby, was caught by surprise. Stumbling and almost falling over, the chair was sent flying into the corner of the classroom by the kick. Sang Nam quickly caught her. Are you okay? Jia Hyun. She gritted her teeth, about to explode. Damn it. Jia Hyun yelled angrily. What are you guys doing in my classroom? If you want to fight, take it outside. The commotion immediately caught Jong Jin's attention. Chan Ho completely ignored her. He stared intently at Sangnam and demanded, Hey, what the hell is going on? What happened to my brother? Sangnam avoided his gaze and explained, Senior Hyun Cheon asked to meet me yesterday. When I got there, he was already lying on the ground. So I called the police. That attitude only made Chan Ho more furious. Don't mess with me. It was you. You bastard. Who else would have left him in that state? Sangnam remained silent. His lips pressed together as he listened to him scream, My brother is still in the recovery room. Jia Hyun looked at him in confusion. What are they talking about? She quickly leaned down and asked urgently, No way. You didn't do anything. Right. Behind them, Jong Jin silently put away his phone, his face completely emotionless. Jia Hyun continued, Hey, tell me, what's really going on? A while later, on the rooftop, the three of them stood facing each other. Sangnam repeated nervously, I reported it to the police last night. My parents came too. Chan Ho crossed his arms, looking skeptical. Really, how come I didn't know Cheon Hai? Standing next to him, took a drag from his cigarette and sneered. You were probably asleep. Chan Ho pursed his lips, thinking to himself, That's weird. Why didn't Mom wake me up? He suddenly extended his hand as if to make peace. Sorry, I misunderstood. Sangnam slowly reached out his own hand to take it. It's okay. But just then, Chan Ho contemptuously slapped his hand away. You really think I'd say that? He yelled in Sangnam's face. I won't believe you until my brother wakes up. Got it. Sangnam turned away helplessly. If you're done talking, I'm leaving. Suddenly, Chan Ho asked, Are you going to tell Jong Jin the truth? Sangnam gave him a cold glance. This is enough. He frowned and continued. Jong Jin has nothing to do with this. I don't know why you called me up here. I just wanted to apologize. Chan Ho questioned him harshly. Apologize for what? For knocking my brother out, Sangnam replied. For that too. But it's my fault, his hand got injured. Chan Ho pressed. So you did do it. He continued to press. Did you two fight? Sangnam said in a low voice. No. I just didn't want things to get worse. I didn't think it was a good idea. He explained further. I lost control without even realizing it. Finally, Sangnam looked at him in silence, his voice soft but filled with threat. I'm asking you, don't mess with Jong Jin. Chan Ho frowned. Resolute. I'm not so sure. Maybe it was Jongjin who pushed my brother. Sangnam immediately shook his head. No way. Jongjin would never do that. But just then, Jongjin's voice echoed in his mind. Now I've killed someone. The thought flashed through his mind. And Sangnam's eyes widened in sheer terror. Chanho immediately caught his expression. Why are you so startled? You look really suspicious. Sangnam stammered. No. It's nothing. While thinking to himself, could it be what I'm thinking? Chanho scoffed. This guy loses focus whenever Jongjin is mentioned. I'm just kidding. You loser. How could that bastard possibly push my brother? He suddenly got a call. At school, okay. I get it. Cheon-hee, standing nearby, spoke up. Is your mom here? Chan-ho nodded. She's here. Sangnam suddenly remembered Jongjin's words. Tomorrow at school is going to be fun. No way. It was Jongjin. At the same time, on the school grounds, Min-ho was grabbed by the collar by a group of thugs. He groaned in pain. Wait. Hold on. Junho shoved his shoulder disdainfully. He frowned and interrogated him. You bastard. You're the one who hurt Hyun Cheon, aren't you? Min-ho quickly denied it. I would never do that. But Hanjin lost control and yelled. It was you. You bastard, Yunho pressed him. Where were you last night? Min-ho looked down and answered honestly. I came home from work and stayed home. I swear. Junho immediately flew into a rage. He shoved Min-ho's shoulder hard and yelled. What home? You bastard. He threatened angrily. If you lie again, I'll kill you. Min-ho rubbed his face, trying to explain. I'm not lying. Ji-ho tried to narrow down the suspects. Who could have taken down Hyun Cheon? Junho answered immediately. I can only think of Na Sang-nam. Hanjin suddenly interjected. No, there's someone else. The one with the biggest grudge. Ji-ho turned and asked. Who? He threw out a name. Bak Dong-soo. Ji-ho was stunned. Bak Dong-soo, are you kidding me? Hanjin rested his chin on his hand and nodded. Who knows? Maybe his ghost came back. Ji-ho cursed in annoyance. Damn it. Are you looking for a beating? Junho chimed in. Maybe he fainted because he was scared of his ghost. The other guy snapped. Get lost. You losers. Shane changed to a middle school. In the cafeteria, 2 female students were sitting across from each other. Eating lunch. Yoo-jin opened her hand, revealing a few red and white pills. Min Yang asked blankly. What kind of medicine is that? Yoo-jin took a sip of water and replied casually. It's medicine to make you prettier. With that, she picked up her tray to leave, not forgetting to add, take this to lose weight and get better skin. Min Yang was skeptical. Really, no way. She ran after her, pleading, why are you taking it alone? Give me some too. Yoo-jin glanced at her. It's psychiatric medication. Are you sure you want some? Min Yang froze. Psychiatric, why? As they were talking, a male voice shouted from a distance. Hey, Yoo-jin? Sungbin approached, questioning her angrily. Why didn't you answer my calls? Yoo-jin replied. Annoyed. You're not my boyfriend anymore. Can you get lost? Standing beside them, Min Yang whispered in astonishment. You two broke up. Sungbin didn't give up, patting her shoulder. Hey, are you really going to end it like this? Eugene said coldly. I don't think you want me to say it out loud. She turned back, her voice firm. Should I expose everything you've done to me? Eugene angrily slapped his hand away. Get lost if you don't want to be humiliated. You scumbag. Her words left Sungbin feeling wronged and gritting his teeth in anger. A little later, on a park bench, the 2 girls were eating ice cream. After hearing Eugene's story, Min Yang shouted in shock. Really, he dared to hit you? Eugene looked down sadly. Not just once. My tolerance is pretty impressive. Min Yang said indignantly. That's horrible. I can't believe he's like that. Eugene angrily threw down her ice cream stick. He always puts on that serious face. Min Yang was surprised. What do you mean? She held her head in frustration. That idiot. Whatever. I've been dealing with a lot of tiring stuff lately too. Min Yang comforted her. Hang in there. Eugene. Just then, Min Yang hesitated. I have something I'm worried about too. Eugene asked. What is it? Min Yang started to confide. It's my aunt's birthday this weekend, and I don't know what to get her. Eugene immediately suggested. My mom really likes collagen essence. Min Yang's eyes showed a hint of worry. Is it expensive? Eugene smiled and shook her head. It's not that expensive. Yujin asked further. How come you care more about your aunt than your mom? Min Yang explained. Because my aunt has raised me since I was 10. Just then, a boy called out from a distance. Hey, Kang Min Yang, the boy shouted. Your brother is looking for you. Min Yang was surprised. My brother. When she reached the school gate, Min Yang called out. Brother, why didn't you call me? But the only reply was the cold back of a figure leaning against a utility pole. Zhongjin turned around and glanced at her. His body emitting a strange glow. Min Yang's eyes widened as she asked hesitantly. Who? Who are you? Zhang Yongyin. Min Yang was a bit flustered. She asked curiously. Who are you looking for? Sia. Zhongjin smiled and introduced himself. He Min Yang. I'm a friend of Minho's. She immediately replied politely. Oh. Yes. Hello. Seer. Min Yang then asked. Where's my brother? He replied. He went to buy something. He told me he had something to give you. She asked blankly. For me, or is it a birthday present for my aunt? Zhongjin pretended to be flustered. I forgot. He said we should wait for him at a cafe. He asked. Is that okay? Min Yang replied. Yes. See ya. Zhongjin said enthusiastically. Great. Let's go. A moment later, the two of them were strolling down a deserted street. Heading towards the cafe, Zhongjin suddenly spoke up. You should call Minho. Min Yang nodded. Okay. Just a second. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately took out her phone. Focusing intently on the screen, Zhongjin suddenly exclaimed, feigning surprise. Oh. Minho, you're here. Min Yang thought it was real and quickly lowered her phone, happily calling out, Brother. But immediately, her smile vanished as Zhongjin coldly activated his power. An invisible force slammed into her, throwing Min Yang backward. She let out a scream of pain. He restrained her, the air being sucked away. Min Yang only managed to whisper, Brother. Before passing out, the moment her body went limp, Zhongjin reached out to catch her. Min Yang's hand, which was holding the phone, slowly went slack, and the device slipped from her grasp. The phone stopped in midair, hovering for a second before slowly descending. Zhongjin quickly caught the phone. Holding it securely in his palm, he glanced at the unconscious girl, his eyes showing a hint of complex emotion, almost sadness. Scene changed to a residential area, where Minho was sitting on a bench. Deep in thought, he frowned, thinking, Hyun Cheon is in critical condition. There's no way Sang-nam did it. He was absolutely sure. It could only be that bastard Zhongjin. He's planning to turn Hyun Cheon into his next experiment subject. Minho remembered, and a question arose in his mind. But why did he push him off the rooftop? He can't kill the target if he wants to use them for an experiment. What on earth is that guy Zhongjin plotting? Suddenly, his phone vibrated. Minho picked it up. The screen showed a call from little sister. He quickly answered, pressing the phone to his ear, and stammered, Oh. Min Yang. But the other end was silent. Minho asked again, Hello. What's wrong? Just then, Zhongjin's voice came through. Kang Minho. Hearing that voice, Minho's pupils contracted. He roared in shock. Kim Yongjin. Why are you? On the other end of the line, Zhongjin let out a wicked laugh and casually announced, I've decided to use the girl for my experiment. The person you have to kill today. Minho's mind reeled. He tried to calm himself. No, it can't be. But Zhongjin crushed his hope, emphasizing every word. Is your little sister. Min Yang. Minho suddenly remembered being at school. How did he know I have a sister? The moment he collapsed on the floor, or did he look at my phone? But I remember changing my wallpaper. Back then, he even thought she was my girlfriend. Zhongjin answered his unasked question. Your mother had a picture of you two together. I had to kill her 13 times to find out what school the girl goes to. Hearing this, Minho screamed frantically. Where are you? Zhongjin remained calm. Don't get so worked up. I'll send you the address. Just come. Just follow the plan. I've prepared a backup plan. Just in case you refuse to kill your sister, Minho growled. Tell me where you are. You, animal. In contrast to his rage, Zhongjin's voice was mocking. You seem pretty angry. Is this the Kang Minho I know? I'll text you the address. You should hurry over. Asim Hospital. See you later. Suddenly, a heavy rain began to fall. People around rushed for shelter, but Minho stood frozen in place. He let his phone drop, gritting his teeth. I can't believe he took Min Yang. Damn it, Min Yang. Your big brother will save you. Just wait for me. A while later, at Unsim Hospital, Min-ho ran, panting heavily, thinking to himself, "Which floor is it?" he yelled, his voice echoing through the hallway. "Min Yang. I'm here. Min Yang. If you can hear me, answer me, Min Yang." All of a sudden, a figure appeared right behind Min-ho. The person was holding a long wooden staff, which caught his attention. Without a moment's hesitation, the man raised the staff high. Min-ho exclaimed in shock. "What?" Thanks to his quick reflexes, Min-ho managed to dodge the lightning-fast attack. He was stunned, his eyes wide as he tried to get a clear look at his attacker, but the sight that met his eyes left him dumbfounded. An overwhelming sense of absurdity washed over him. His attacker was a puppet. It was hovering, hanging upside down from the ceiling. Min-ho only had time to utter a single word. "What?" Just then, the wooden staff slammed onto the floor, the sound echoing throughout the hospital corridor. The puppet held the staff, its face completely lifeless, its eyes shut tight, its cheeks sunken and gaunt. The puppet just hovered there in midair, facing Min-ho, who was sitting on the floor. Min-ho thought in horror, "What is this? Is this guy dead? Or just unconscious?" He immediately turned and shouted, "Kim Yongjin, stop hiding and show yourself." Then he suddenly realized something and fell silent. Turning back to stare at the puppet in front of him, the puppet suddenly swung the wooden staff, aiming straight for Min-ho's head. Luckily, his reflexes allowed him to dodge just in time. He frowned, gritting his teeth and hissing, "Damn it!" Just then, the puppet raised the wooden staff in its hands, right before Min-ho's eyes. It aimed for him again and slammed it down, but Min-ho quickly sidestepped the blow in time. He jumped up, turned, and ran, glancing back as he fled, thinking, "Where is that bastard Jongjin hiding? Hey, Kim Jongjin, show your face." Suddenly, he felt that no one was behind him. He quickly turned back, and the moment he saw the puppet was gone, he was startled. Huh. It vanished, but a sense of danger washed over him. He turned his head back, and something appeared that made his eyes widen in shock. Instantly, Min-ho was thrown backward by an invisible force. He slammed hard against the hospital wall, a searing pain shooting through him from the impact. He roared in pain. "You bastard!" Right after, at the end of the hallway, the puppet's figure reappeared. It was holding the broken wooden staff, hovering as it advanced toward Min-ho. It slowly glided right past him, but then the puppet seemed to sense something. It stopped abruptly and turned its head toward Min-ho. Min-ho screamed, "Why are you doing this to me? Let me see my sister." "Wait, but..." Right now, the puppet didn't hesitate. It lifted the wooden staff and charged at Min-ho to attack. The wooden staff, with its broken tip, thrust forward like a spear, but the staff's trajectory grazed past Min-ho's face, stabbing into empty air. The puppet instantly froze all movement. As for Min-ho, he was panting heavily from the tension. Then, a voice rang out. The puppet immediately bowed its head in obedience. This way, after giving the order, Jongjin turned and said nonchalantly, "Your sister. She's on the floor above." Freed from the threat, Min-ho collapsed to the floor. He growled threateningly, "You. What did you do to her? I'll kill you." Jongjin shot him a look as cold as an assassin's. In an instant, Min-ho was frantically scrambling up the stairs for his life. As soon as he saw his sister lying on a bench next to Jongjin, he yelled, "Min Yang, are you okay?" Min Yang, just as Min-ho rushed forward. The puppet held out its staff to block him. Jongjin spoke up, "Hold on, not so fast. Have you forgotten something?" But Min-ho snapped back. "What did you do to her?" Jongjin said softly, "Calm down. She's just unconscious." Min-ho pressed, "And who is he? Why do you keep dragging innocent people into this?" Jongjin replied, "Just some homeless guy. I'm giving you a choice. If you don't want to kill your sister, then kill this man. Remember, this is an experiment. You just need to kill him, then revive him. After that, I'll kill him again, to create 2 consecutive loops." Hearing this, Min-ho tried to stay calm, calculating to himself, "Without me, he can't do anything. I'll pretend to help and wait for an opportunity." He then asked aloud, "If you can control them, why don't you just kill them yourself?" Yongjin explained, "If I could, you would have been dead long ago. I've tried dismemberment, staging accidents, using others to kill. I've tried every method, but it's useless. The moment I cause someone's death, the loop activates automatically. Minho yelled angrily. Why are you so obsessed with killing? Still, don't get why the time controller is standing in your way. Jongjin snapped. You idiot, I am humanity's judgment. Killing is more important than anything else. The killing is necessary. Because my ultimate goal is the complete annihilation of the human race. Minho froze, thinking to himself, destroy humanity. What the hell is he talking about? Jongjin continued. At first, I thought the time controller was stopping me simply because of the killing. But after seeing your ability, I've changed my mind. If both killing and resurrection are forbidden, then the time controller must be the one who maintains the world's order. Who do you think that person is? Is it possible you still don't have a single clue? Outside Unsim Hospital, it was late at night, and the rain was falling harder and harder. A cold voice echoed. Who do you think it is? You mean to tell me you still haven't figured it out? Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated Jongjin's ice-cold face. The light also flooded into the room, where he, Minho, his sister, and the puppet were. A look of pure shock spread across Minho's face as he uttered, No way. You mean that guy isn't human? Jongjin smirked. Bingo. He's too powerful to be human. The only logical explanation is that he has transcended that limit. There are 3 possible reasons he's in my way. 1. To prevent the use of superpowers. 2. Killing and resurrection are forbidden for the sake of world order. Just then, a centipede crawling on the wall was struck by a thrown knife, pinning it in place. As the centipede writhed, Jongjin said, And 3. The first 2 things will lead to a catastrophe. Whether it's caused by you, me, or someone else. I don't know. The top half of the centipede still tried to crawl away. He said, But whatever the reason, I have to see that bastard for myself. I'll make him pay. Minho was lost in thought. Maybe he's right. But how can you fight an entity that controls time itself? The knife was pulled from the wall, and the back half of the centipede immediately fell to the ground. Jongjin retrieved his knife and said, Understand now, it's time to choose. Your sister, or this homeless guy. Minho answered. Do you even have to ask? Then he raised his hand, pointing straight at his target. Without a moment's hesitation, he chose the dummy that was standing motionless. Jongjin asked, So you choose the stranger. Do you want the wooden club or the knife? Choose. Minho immediately grabbed the wooden club. He decisively raised the club, preparing to strike the dummy. Jongjin sat there and growled, Don't try to be clever. Unless you want to see something happen to your sister. Minho gritted his teeth. Shaming? Damn it. What do I do now? Should I try to save Min Young right away? His hand started to tremble. But what if she gets hurt? Just then, a voice called out, Minho. Min Young shot up. Looking Day said, Where am I? Jongjin glanced over and said, Hello there. The little girl looked toward the sound, and in an instant, her face turned pale. She screamed in panic. Minho, seeing his sister, terrified. Minho yelled back. Min Yang, seeing Jongjin raise his hand toward his sister. He immediately charged forward, roaring, Don't you touch her. But something strange happened. Minho suddenly froze, a stunned look on his face. He muttered in confusion, Hua loop Min Yang. Wait a second. What was that loop just now? Don't tell me you. But Jongjin cut him off. Calm down. I didn't kill her. The loop happened because I just killed you. The next time you take another step, you'll kill her. Minho bit his lip, his mind screaming, Damn it. I have no choice. I have to fight him, Min Yang said tremblingly. Minho, I'm so scared. He soothed her gently. Close your eyes. Cover your ears. I'll explain later. She quickly covered her ears, sobbing. Why, you're scaring me, he replied. You trust me? Right, just wait a little longer. She whimpered. I want to go home. Minho turned to Jongjin and said, I'll take the knife. A single stab will be easier than using the club. Jongjin replied coldly. Suit yourself. The moment Minho gripped the knife tightly, it took a deep breath, looked at the dummy, and thought to himself, I only have one chance. I have to do it exactly as I practiced. I'll count to 3 and then act. 1, 2, 3. Take this. But in reality, Minho was focusing all his energy, activating his power. The knife in his hand shot out like an arrow, flying straight toward Zhang Jin. Zhang Jin smirked contemptuously as the knife flew toward him. He let out a scoff. Huh. You idiot. He simply raised his hand. Using his power to bend the knife's trajectory, the blade immediately changed direction, embedding itself straight into the concrete ceiling. Zhang Jin taunted. Did you really think a cheap trick like that could take me down? But before he could finish, the dummy suddenly lunged forward to attack. Zhang Jin clicked his tongue and casually shoved the dummy aside. The dummy crashed right into Min Yang. She flinched, letting out a terrified scream, but at that exact moment, Minho vanished. Zhang Jin realized it instantly and shot to his feet, seizing the opportunity. Minho closed in from behind and grabbed him tightly. Zhang Jin laughed. What do you think you can do by grabbing me from behind? Let go before I get mad. Minho roared. You killed my mother and kidnapped my sister. I'd rather die than ever help you. As soon as he finished speaking, Minho activated his power, pressing his hand directly against Zhang Jin's body. An electric current surged from Minho's hand. Zhang Jin screamed in agony, his whole body convulsing. On the floor, Min Yang could only cover her ears. Screaming in panicked terror, Minho was now using all his strength, trying to hold Zhang Jin down, restrained. He gritted his teeth in pain. His body felt like it was stuck to a magnet, unable to move. Minho also frowned, gritting his teeth. He should have passed out by now. Why is he still conscious? Zhang Jin's mind screamed. Damn it. I can't be held like this, I have to get out now. With that thought, he immediately braced himself and lunged forward with all his might. Both Zhang Jin and Minho crashed through the window at the same time, sending shards of broken glass flying everywhere. Sharp pieces of glass flew past his face. Minho squeezed his eyes shut and let out a yell. He opened his eyes slightly and saw that he was still fine. He frowned, thinking. The electric shock didn't take him down. So, Minho immediately changed tactics. Thrusting his hand straight out, he unleashed his power, using a powerful repulsive force to send Zhang Jin flying forward. He had no time to react, his entire body slamming hard into the stone wall. Before Minho's eyes, Zhang Jin lay motionless, surrounded by countless shards of broken glass. Seizing the moment, Minho immediately clenched his fist and charged toward the downed Zhang Jin, but he suddenly snapped his eyes open, staring at Minho. He faltered for a beat, but continued his charge. A deafening impact sound echoed, tearing through the air. The remaining broken glass was shaken by the impact, scattering everywhere. At that moment, a mouthful of fresh blood burst from the corner of Minho's mouth. He had taken the full force of Zhang Jin's punch, his body sent flying backward. He smirked arrogantly and commented, "That was a pretty good calculation. Not bad. I'll admit." Minho struggled to support himself, his arms seemingly broken, his eyes glaring with rage. He still tried to push himself up. Struggling to move his mangled arm, Minho's whole body trembled. He glared, his brow furrowed as he roared in pain. Zhang Jin narrowed his eyes, a smirk on his lips as he casually remarked, "That expression is quite interesting." Suddenly, a wooden club appeared from behind, swinging straight down at Zhang Jin's head. A loud thwack echoed. The one who had attacked was none other than Min Yang. He whipped around instantly, his eyes filled with fury, and roared, "Damn it, you little brat." Seeing Min Yang's actions, Minho broke into a cold sweat and called out his sister's name in panic. Zhang Jin gritted his teeth, swung his arm, and delivered a vicious slap across the little girl's face. Seeing his sister fall to the ground, Minho screamed in despair. "Min Yang!" Minho roared. "How dare you!" Just then, the knife stuck in the ceiling began to shake. He realized what was happening, his face paling as he urgently warned, "No! Min Yang, run!" At that moment, the knife came loose from the ceiling and plummeted straight down. Minho was horrified. "Hey, don't," he trembled, watching helplessly as the sharp blade fell right where Min Yang was. Zhang Jin stood there, smirking triumphantly. "Shut up and enjoy the show. This is the price for defying me." The sharp tip of the knife, reflecting the light, shot downward, aimed directly at the little girl. Minho's eyes widened as he let out a desperate roar. "No!" Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupted from Minho's palm. Immediately, Minho swung that arm back to build momentum. He channeled his power and thrust his hand forward, shouting as he unleashed a furious stream of energy straight at Zhang Jin. He only had time to glance back, a flicker of surprise on his face as the attack was about to hit him. Zhongjin's entire body was lifted into the air by that wave of power. On the ground, Min Yang, with tears streaming down her face, looked up with an expression of shock mixed with fear. Overwhelmed by the stream of energy, Zhongjin gritted his teeth and growled. What the hell is this? Minho had now landed on the ground and began to slowly step forward. His entire body was enveloped in a violent aura of energy, his arms still maintaining the power flow. Witnessing the scene, the little girl broke into a sweat and stammered. Minho, restrained. Zhongjin glared furiously and roared. You bastard. Abruptly, a body was thrown from the side, flying straight toward Minho. He seemed to sense it and immediately glanced in that direction. Minho quickly used his other hand, raising it to block the incoming object. Zhongjin was stunned, thinking, what he blocked it. His eyelids grew heavy, his consciousness fading. Impossible. Minho then frowned and growled coldly. Get lost. A deafening crash echoed as he violently slammed Zhongjin's body forward, sending him crashing and sliding a long way across the floor. After the horrific impact, Zhongjin lay motionless, his eyes shut, completely unconscious. After delivering the blow, Minho stood there, panting heavily. Clearly exhausted, he stared in amazement at the energy in his hand, wondering, I won. What is this? Since when could I? Min Yang's voice suddenly called out. Minho. He looked up with a start. Min Yang, he hurriedly asked. Are you okay? The little girl just looked up, her face on the verge of tears. Seeing this, Minho immediately pulled his sister into a hug. Calling her name as Min Yang burst into tears. The scene changes to a room full of cats. A conversation is heard. Everything has been set in motion. This time, I'll handle it myself. Plan A. The honey trap. At the same time, an image of Ha Yun appears, sitting in a chair. The other person's voice sounds worried. An accident. What kind of accident? The other person replies casually. A small complication. But they won't be waking up. I'll deal with it later. A white cat rubs its head against her leg. The conversation continues. Stop nagging. Yes. I get it. Hello, the connection's lost. Ha-Yun looks outside at the pouring rain. That voice spoke again, saying they've been upgraded a little. Just a little bit. A slight smirk appeared on Ha-Yun's lips as the voice continued, saying everything should have been over by now. The scene shifts to Zhongjin, who was lying collapsed on the ground in the pouring rain. Meanwhile, in another corner, Sungbin was cornering Yujin against a wall. He smirked arrogantly. Be honest. Babe, did you come here because you miss me? Let's get back together. Yujin threatened coldly. Are you kidding? You want to see your bruises again? Let's end this. Before I tell the whole class you hit me. Hearing this, Sungbin raised his fist, glaring and shouting. There you go again. You're the one who forces my hand. I hit you because you drive me crazy. She glanced at his fist and growled. Go ahead and try it. I swear I won't let it go. Sungbin sneered, taunting her. Ooh, I'm so scared. What are you gonna do to me? Suddenly, a loud thud echoed through the quiet space. Yujin clutched her stomach, letting out a soft groan, while he roared angrily. Who do you think you're threatening? Sungbin immediately reached out and violently grabbed Yujin by her hair. He shoved her to the ground, yelling, Did you really think I was going to spare you? Then, Sungbin glared and declared loudly, You'll never escape from me. You hear me? Yujin didn't answer. She just silently reached back and pulled her hood over her head. Next, she zipped up her jacket, covering most of her face. Sungbin noticed her trembling figure and rolled his eyes in annoyance. Hey, are you crying? When she didn't answer, he reached out to touch her shoulder, calling, Hey. Just then, Yujin, her face obscured, slowly turned her head to look at Sungbin. In the darkness, only her eyes were visible, glinting with killing intent as they stared right at him. His eyes met hers, and he involuntarily shuddered, breaking out in a cold sweat. Instantly, the space around Sungbin was enveloped in an eerie purple aura. He looked up, drenched in sweat, thinking, What? What is this? I can't breathe. No. It feels like I'm about to die. Sungbin's pupils rolled back as absolute terror consumed his mind. I'm going to die. I'm really going to die. He broke down, screaming hysterically through his tears. Only Sungbin's desperate screams remained, echoing throughout the stairwell. Yujin watched as Sungbin clawed at his own throat, his body convulsing and writhing in agony. She commanded, "Then you need to stay away from me." Sungbin was still curled up on the ground, screaming in a panic. "Okay. I swear, please don't kill me. Please." He was sobbing pathetically, tears and snot streaming down his face, begging in terror. "Please. I'm not going to make it." Instantly, Yujin's pupils constricted, and the invisible energy erupted, causing the pressure to skyrocket. Overwhelmed by the force, Sungbin's entire body trembled violently, consumed by unrelenting pain. But soon, he ran out of strength to resist. His body went limp and then completely still. She pulled down her hood, revealing a face drenched in sweat from exhaustion. Immediately after, Yujin collapsed to her knees, panting tiredly. "I still haven't fully adapted to this wave of energy." A mysterious figure appeared, their voice echoing, "He's still alive. Are you satisfied with that?" The person continued to question her. "Why didn't you finish him for good?" Yujin retorted. "Is that how an admin should talk? Besides, you know I can't use my powers to hurt people." Yujin wiped the sweat from her brow and pushed her hair back. "I think this is enough. Goodbye. You piece of trash." The scene shifts to an abandoned building, where Minho and Minyang are cautiously stepping out. Minyang suddenly spoke hesitantly. "I thought he was your friend." Minho replied in a low voice. "I'm truly sorry for getting you involved in this." Minyang continued to ask timidly, "Minho, what just happened? What did you do to him? Was that some kind of special power?" Hearing this, Minho's voice grew heavy. "It's complicated. I'll explain everything later." Minho urged that they should leave before he woke up, and Minyang immediately agreed. At the same time, Minho looked up, a worry growing inside him. Is it really okay to leave him here alone? But he quickly dismissed the thought. No, he's crossed the line. Outside, the rain was still pouring. Minho's gaze turned ice cold as he firmly resolved, "That murderer, I'll never let him trample all over me again." Not long after, the torrential rain finally stopped, and the washed sky gradually became clear and blue. Jongjin had just regained consciousness. Staggering as he struggled to get back on his feet, he tried to suppress his rage, gritting his teeth and seething internally. "Kang Minho, you bastard." Immediately, Jongjin gathered his strength and shot off like an arrow. From a high vantage point, he scanned the entire cityscape stretching out below him. Jongjin's eyes blazed with fury, his mind screaming, "What damn time loop? All of you can just go and die." He seemed to have completely lost control, his mind cursing endlessly. "I'll kill all of you, rewind time or whatever. I don't give a damn anymore, let's see who really wins, damn it." The scene changes to a blue bus moving along a busy street. The passengers inside were shaken continuously. As the bus moved down the road, a young woman saw a pregnant lady and looked up to offer, "Ma'am, would you like to sit down?" The woman hesitated for a moment. "Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you." Just then, the driver was startled by the sight directly in front of his bus. There stood Jongjin, blocking the path of the bus that was speeding towards him. The panicked driver frantically swerved to the side to avoid a head-on collision. The sudden swerve threw all the passengers into chaos, and they screamed in terror. Fortunately, the risky maneuver didn't result in any significant injuries or consequences. The driver clutched his forehead, his eyes bloodshot. He glared at Jongjin and yelled, "Hey you, are you insane?" Jongjin remained motionless, the dried blood on his forehead now more visible. He frowned, looking clearly annoyed. Suddenly, an invisible force seized the bus and lifted it into the air. All the passengers inside lost their balance and tumbled from their seats, their horrified screams echoing endlessly. Meanwhile, the blue bus continued to rise slowly, moving further and further from the ground. Below, traffic was at a standstill, with the chaotic sound of horns blaring relentlessly. At that moment, the camera zooms in on Jongjin. His face was as cold as ice as he decisively raised one hand into the air. With a single gesture, all the vehicles on the road below were instantly lifted and sent flying into the air. Pedestrians witnessing the chaotic scene quickly pulled out their phones to record, chattering in amazement. "Look, what's that? Are they promoting a new car model? Quick, record it." But the murderer had no intention of stopping. He glanced at the curious crowd, then slowly raised his other arm. With just a small gesture, the entire crowd instantly felt their feet leave the ground. Immediately after, they were all swept up by that invisible energy and lifted into the sky. Zhang Jin's face twisted in rage as he glared and roared in his mind. The only way to stop me is to kill me right now. Because I will never stop. A horrifying scene filled the sky, with countless vehicles and hundreds of people suspended in midair. Most of the victims were drenched in cold sweat, their faces contorted with absolute terror and confusion. The murderer suddenly swung his arm down fiercely, giving a death sentence to the ground below. The vehicles and the crowd lost their support, and everything immediately plummeted toward the street below. The ground shook from the horrific impacts, and the sound of crunching metal echoed ceaselessly. The crowd fell to their gruesome deaths, fresh blood splattering everywhere. But Yang Jin just stood there, indifferently observing the tragedy. His face showed not a hint of remorse. He was savoring the scene of destruction he himself had created. Suddenly, a strange sound reverberated. Space itself trembled violently, and the image of Zhang Jin's face began to blur. At the same time, a car lost control and slammed into the wall of a nearby building. Nearby, another car and a young woman were still being violently tossed about by the invisible energy. Sweat poured off him as he gasped for breath, his body nearly depleted of energy. The blare of car horns filled the air as pedestrians below looked up, then fled in terror, screaming and scattering. Finally, all the vehicles crashed to the ground, creating a massive explosion and plunging the scene into absolute chaos. Zhang Jin used all his remaining strength. He winced, his breathing becoming noticeably more difficult and heavy. He hastily wiped away the blood trickling from his nose. As ambulance sirens began to wail, adding to the turmoil, Zhang Jin immediately teleported to another location. His ragged, exhausted breaths echoing in the silence. Fresh blood started to drip from his nose, falling onto the cold ground. He gasped for air, his body trembling, as he told himself, "Damn it. I'm exhausted. But no, I can't stop. I have to keep going until Minho shows up." Just then, from a distance, two figures were silently observing all of Zhang Jin's actions. Hoseoke squinted at him and asked curiously. He's finally stopped. "What number loop is this?" The person holding the umbrella calmly replied, "The 33rd loop." Hoseoke looked confused. Doesn't he realize he's just torturing himself? Just then, two other people approached, and Yujin greeted them. "Hoseoke." "Hello." Hoseoke turned and smiled. "Hello, Yujin. I thought you'd be here sooner." The girl gave a wry smile. "No, I had some personal business to take care of." Hoseoke immediately teased her. "Personal business? You mean a boyfriend?" The fully cloaked person suddenly cut in. "Why would you bring that up?" Hoseoke started sweating, awkwardly saying, "I shouldn't have." Beside them, Yujin's expression immediately darkened. Yujin quickly changed the subject. "The time loop is repeating again." "Right," Hoseoke nodded. "But it's paused for now. Why haven't the higher-ups recruited him yet? I'm starting to feel sorry for the guy." Hoseoke continued. "I heard another universe was destroyed because they recruited him without taking precautions." Another voice chimed in. "That's why now isn't the right time." Suddenly, the person with the umbrella pointed straight ahead, shouting in a horrified voice, "Wait, that's a sign of a spatial intrusion." Right before the eyes of all four of them, a blazing red spatial rift was slowly widening. Hoseoke immediately took off his jacket, growling, "We have to act now. Take down Zhang Jin before he gets exposed to the intruder." Yujin replied with a serious face. "Understood." Immediately, the girl zipped up her jacket, completely covering her face. The sound of a thumping heartbeat suddenly became distinct, mixing with Yujin's heavy breathing, hidden behind the fabric. The girl's eyes narrowed, showing intense concentration and discomfort. A stream of dark energy began to leak out, pouring from inside her jacket. At that moment, Zhang Jin was slumped on the ground, straining against an invisible pressure. Screaming, sweat poured off him as he glared and gritted his teeth, screaming internally, "What is this pressure? Could it be them?" Zhang Jin was still screaming in extreme pain, while Yujin trembled. Her voice panicked. "It's not working. He's resisting." The people behind her immediately shouted encouragement. "You can do it. Keep trying." Yujin gritted her teeth and continued to pour all her strength into it. Zhang Jin felt the power intensifying, and he bit down hard. "This is a mental attack. Damn it. I have to hold on." But he had reached his limit. Zhang Jin couldn't hold on any longer, and he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Seeing this, Hoseoke hurriedly urged them on. He's down. Move now. Quickly. The scene changes. The sky had now turned a deep blue, signaling the coming of dawn. Just then, Jongjin startled awake. He wearily opened his eyes to observe his surroundings. He staggered forward, his mind hazy. I passed out. I destroyed everything. But in the end, nothing changed. Jongjin squinted, mocking himself. This is probably my limit. How pathetic. He lifted his leg, and a wave of pain hit him. He was confused. What's wrong with my leg? It didn't hurt before. Could I have been injured during the fight with Minho? He gritted his teeth, resentfully hissing the name. Kang Minho. The scene shifts to the school rooftop the next morning, where a tense confrontation is taking place. Just then, someone stepped forward, questioning him. So the fun you were talking about was pushing Hyun Cheon off the rooftop. That person growled, "Don't you think that was too cruel? What if he had died?" In response, Jongjin's face remained emotionless. Sangnam looked at Jongjin, his voice filled with disappointment. "I used to think that you at least valued human life." Hearing those words, Jongjin couldn't hold it in. He clutched his stomach and burst out laughing with delight. His laughter didn't stop, but only grew more amused, which was a stark contrast to the other's clearly displeased expression. Jongjin finally spoke. "You're completely mistaken about me. Don't waste my time. Get lost." He looked up, his eyes sharp and cold, and let out a low-voiced threat. "Unless you want to die." After hearing that, Sangnam was so angry he gritted his teeth, his brow furrowed. But in the end, he chose to remain silent. Finally, he growled, "Fine. My mistake for thinking we were friends." With that said, Sangnam decisively turned his back and left without a single glance back. From a distance, Ha Yoon witnessed this, wondering to herself, "Are they fighting? What a shame. Why doesn't he just say he didn't do it?" Then she smirked, a meaningful smile on her face. "And now? It's my time." As soon as the thought crossed her mind, Ha Yoon walked straight over to Jongjin and casually sat down next to him. She gracefully tucked her hair back, glanced over at him, and said in a sweet voice, "Jongjin, remember me? I just transferred here 2 days ago." She continued her introduction. "I'm Song Ha Yoon." But he didn't even bother to pay attention and stood up to leave. Seeing this, Ha Yoon's voice dropped. "If you just walk away in silence, you'll regret it. Look, I've discovered your little secret." Hearing that, Jongjin slowly turned his head back and looked straight at her. Ha Yoon held up her phone and said nonchalantly, "How about this? I took it myself. There's plenty more." She pointed to the video, smiling. "This one, and this one too. Want to see more? I even took a video." Suddenly, the phone in Ha Yoon's hand was sent flying by an invisible force. It slammed hard against a nearby wall, making a sharp cracking sound. She was stunned, her face showing clear surprise. While Jongjin just gave a cold glance, Ha Yoon casually sat back down on the bench, while he remained motionless, not leaving. Ha Yoon then spoke up, breaking the silence. "Good thing I backed everything up online." She laughed, smugly declaring, "It will automatically post to MeTube and Fbook and go viral instantly. How would you like it if the whole world knew who you are?" Suddenly, Jongjin raised his hand straight towards Ha Yoon, and his power began to activate. The crutch he was using in his other hand immediately clattered to the floor. Having lost his support, Jongjin immediately staggered, his body starting to tilt backward. Ha Yoon quickly reached out to catch him, calling out, "Be careful." She looked up at him and asked, "Are you okay?" But he didn't answer, instead shoving her hard, causing Ha Yoon to fall flat on her back. She fell to the ground, asking in confusion, "Why did you push me?" Ha Yoon brushed the dust off her clothes while wincing. "That really hurt." Next, she picked up the crutch and handed it back to Jongjin. But then Ha Yoon waved her hand excitedly, saying, "Why do you even need a crutch? You have superpowers. If I were you, I'd be flying all over the place." Whoosh, whoosh, he roared in anger. "Shut up. Delete all of those files, or I'll deal with you." In response, Ha Yoon looked unfazed. She said softly, "If you want to make a move, go ahead, but you'll definitely regret it. I suggest you think it over." He snatched the crutch back and clicked his tongue in annoyance. "What do you want from me?" Anyway, Ha Yoon just looked up at Jongjin and then burst into a mischievous laugh. In the next scene, the two of them are hovering in the air. She spreads her arms wide with delight, exclaiming, This is amazing. Ayun cheered excitedly. Look, the cars are so tiny I can even see my apartment building, she remarked in amazement and excitement. So this is what it feels like to fly. It's awesome. Ha-Yun, still excited, pleaded. Let's go higher. Even higher. Okay, this was in stark contrast to Jongjin's bored expression, but he complied, taking her soaring straight up into the sky. Ha-Yun savored the feeling, laughing heartily, while he maintained his ice-cold expression. By now, Jongjin had taken Ha-Yun very high up, high enough to see the entire city. Her eyes widened in amazement, and she cheerfully suggested, "We're above the clouds. Jongjin, I want to skydive. Drop me and then catch me." Okay, come on. Hearing this, he didn't hesitate for a second and immediately let go of Ha-Yun. She immediately went into a freefall from high above, but her expression was still full of excitement. Ha-Yun continued to fall through the layers of clouds at a dizzying speed. She was now falling close to the city ground. Ha-Yun looked back up and shouted her request. "Jongjin, that's enough. Catch me now." However, before her eyes, Jongjin was nowhere to be seen. Ha-Yun fell into a complete panic, screaming into the air, "Where did you go?" Oh my god. The girl was still plummeting from the sky toward the ground. Her small frame was about to collide head-on with the hard pavement. The scene before them was Ha-Yun still in a freefall, the distance to the ground closing in every second. Her face was now just a very short distance from the ground, and a collision was unavoidable. But Jongjin suddenly appeared, grabbing Ha-Yun and flying back up into the sky. He glanced at her pale face and thought to himself, "Looks like she passed out." Jongjin's expression then became somewhat pensive. It seemed he had just noticed the tears lingering in the corners of her eyes. He immediately rolled his eyes, grumbling to himself in annoyance. "This is such a pain. I don't have time for this." With that thought, he held her and sped off into the night. The scene changes, and the two of them land on a ledge, right in front of a giant billboard. Ha-Yun was still unconscious and motionless, while Jongjin sat beside her, lost in silence. The expression on his face suddenly became incredibly dark. He began to recall his battle with Minho, remembering the immense power in the boy's hands. Next was the scene of Minho unleashing a devastating attack towards him. Then came the moment he was completely overwhelmed by that pure energy. And finally, Minho's determined face, enveloped in a stream of energy. The more he thought about it, the angrier Jongjin became, and dark energy started to leak out, erupting around him. He lost control, and the surge of energy exploded, causing the nearby billboard to crack and shatter. All that remained was the sound of shattering. As countless small fragments rained down below, the noise startled Ha-Yun awake. She panicked. "What's going on?" Jongjin ignored her, coldly ordering, "I did what you wanted. Now delete that file immediately." She suddenly covered her face, air voice trembling. "You're so cruel. Do you have any idea how scared I was? I thought I was going to die for sure." She continued, "Almost dying on my birthday. I was already sad about being alone. My parents are overseas, and I don't even have a best friend." Dark energy gathered in his hand as Jongjin glared and roared, "Shut up." "So what?" She suddenly threw herself into his arms, her voice full of pity. "Jongjin, what am I supposed to do?" This sudden action stunned Jongjin, leaving him frozen for a few seconds. Ha-Yun continued to sob. "They left me behind. How could they value work more than their own child? They don't deserve to be parents." She hesitated. "I hate myself for still missing my mom." Jongjin's face remained as cold as ice. Her voice was full of self-pity. "They should at least come back for my birthday." Jongjin's hand trembled slightly. He hesitated, then lightly touched her back. Feeling that, Ha-Yun, still in his arms, unconsciously smirked to herself. In the next scene, she was sticking a small candle into a piece of cake. As she struck a match, she muttered in confusion, "That's weird. Why won't it light?" Seeing Jongjin just standing there, Ha-Yun said irritably, "Am I supposed to light my own birthday candle? Get over here and sit down." He heard her and turned to look, his face still cold and emotionless. He frowned and ordered, "Eat quickly. I bought the cake. Remember to delete the file as you promised." She ignored him, frowning. "Don't interrupt. I have to make a wish first." Ha-Yun clasped her hands seriously. "Dear God, please let Jongjin learn to cherish life," she continued, "and become a good person, using his powers to help the world." Hearing this, Jongjin frowned slightly. Suddenly, The slice of cake was violently snatched from her hand. Ha-yoon jumped and screamed. She quickly watched the falling cake, crying out in regret. No. My cake. As she tried to reach for it, Ha-yoon lost her balance and nearly fell off the high ledge. Jongjin reacted quickly, using his powers to grab her and yank her back. Ha-yoon dangled in the air, looking at him, breaking out in a cold sweat. Stammering, "I'm okay. Thank you." He unceremoniously dropped her with a thud, grinding his teeth and cursing under his breath. What a pain. The scene shifts to a warehouse, with goods neatly arranged in stacks. Minho was staring at his hand, frowning. What is this? This power. Immediately after, his pupils glowed brightly, and his hair began to float. Suspended in the air, a burst of pure power erupted violently from Minho's hand. He focused the force into his palm, releasing a stream of pure energy. The stream of energy immediately obeyed, lifting the heavy wooden planks into the air. He frowned, gritting his teeth, focusing all his willpower to control this new power. The solid block of wood was immediately compressed, distorting like a piece of soft plastic. He let go, and the deformed block of wood fell, creating a loud thud that echoed through the warehouse. Minho was stunned, looking down and staring at his palm. He narrowed his eyes, speculating, maybe my latent ability awakened when I saved Min Yang. He retracted his energy, his mind filled with confusion. This kind of power. When did I get it? I got it naturally without any training. His expression was full of doubt. Before, I could only knock people unconscious. But now, he bowed his head in thought. Could it be because of Jongjin? Every time we clash, I get stronger. Why? He was startled as a theory formed in his mind. Or maybe someone else is transferring power to me. Perhaps. The time controller. He raised his hand, frowning. If it's a transcendent being, sharing power is possible. They want me to stop Jongjin. He clenched his fist, affirming. That's right. I can feel a will. It's urging me to save people from Jongjin's hands. Nearby, a mysterious figure in a yellow coat heard this and chuckled softly. Ha-yoon's hair blew in the wind as she smirked. This puppet is quite interesting. Free will. That's right. You have been chosen. The scene changes. Ha-yoon and Jongjin are standing together on a high ledge. She looked up at him and said, "Thank you for saving me earlier." Ha-yoon acted sincere. "You're not as bad as I thought. I used to think you were a bad guy who just bullies people." He just glanced at her, but she kept talking. "Turns out you're kind after all. So how did you get those powers?" He avoided the question, looking into the distance. "I had an accident on a mountain when I was a kid. That's how I got them." "Don't ask anymore." Ha-yoon leaned back and asked again. "So have you ever used those powers to do something good?" He remained silent, so she nodded and answered for him. "I guess not." She turned to look at him, curious. "Are you dating anyone?" He still didn't answer, so she smiled slyly. "That means no." "Right." Jongjin looked down coldly. "Stop talking nonsense. Delete the file now." She playfully swung her legs. "I was lying about the backup copy." Jongjin looked slightly surprised. "What?" Ha-yoon nodded. "It's on my computer at home." She made an offer. "Come to my house tomorrow. If you want to delete it, you can do it yourself." "That's fair." "Right." Jongjin's face was still like ice. "Now I have to go all the way to your house." "Are you kidding me?" Ha-yoon started to list things off. "You broke my phone, and you almost dropped me to my death. Let's just call it even. Isn't that fair?" After saying that, she stood up. "Tomorrow's the weekend. Come on over. I'll cook. We can have lunch." "Okay." But Jongjin didn't answer, coldly using his powers to fly away. Ha-yoon's voice still echoed after him. "Hey, remember to come tomorrow." He flew to a hidden corner, grinding his teeth. "I'm at my limit. After I delete that file, I'm going to kill her." Ha-yoon stood there, watching his figure fly further away. She gave a meaningful smile and whispered, "See you tomorrow." Kim Yongjin. A figure appeared behind Ha-yoon. "So the girl is the key," the other replied. But him going to her house wasn't part of the plan. She didn't turn around. Her voice was emotionless. "Everything is ready. Don't worry. This time it will definitely succeed." One of them asked, "Isn't it a bit too soon?" The other replied, "We'll see." Shane change. Min Young was curled up in bed, saying, "I'm okay now." Her voice was still trembling. You have that power, and I never knew. Were you hiding it from me all this time? Minho was on the other end of the line. Yeah. I'm sorry. She asked again. So can you heal Mom's leg? Hearing Minho say he couldn't, Min-young was saddened. Then why didn't you save Dad? Minho's eyes showed a flicker of sadness. You were little back then. You didn't know anything about my powers. Min-yang's voice was faint. I see. Suddenly, Min-young sat bolt upright, calling out. Minho, she said hesitantly. Can you help my friend? She broke up with her boyfriend because he hit her. But he keeps stalking her. He even came and beat her up today. Hearing this, Minho's face turned purple with rage. That bastard. He's only in middle school and already so violent. Unbelievable. Min-young hesitated. Can you just scare him a little? Minho was surprised, shouting, Me. The next day, at an apartment building, a door suddenly burst open. Standing in the doorway was Jongjin's arrogant face. Ha-yoon, wearing an apron, rushed out, asking, You're here. Why did you force the door open? Couldn't you just ring the bell? Anyway, come on in. I just finished baking some bread. It's my first time making it, so I hope you like it. He let out a lazy sigh, making his attitude clear. I'll leave as soon as I delete the file. As soon as the door slammed shut, Ha-yoon's hurried voice rang out. Why are you in such a rush? Wait a second. As soon as he stepped inside, several cats started rubbing against his legs. He thought to himself, What the hell is this? Jongjin growled impatiently. Hey, where's the computer? His eyes scanned the room as he muttered to himself. I don't see any computer here. Ah-yoon ignored his question, holding out a plate of bread. It's ready. Here. Take it. Jongjin reluctantly took it, and she said again, I'll go get you some milk. Wait a minute. Jongjin lost his patience and repeated, Where's the computer? She replied nonchalantly, A computer. I don't have one here. A murderous glint flashed in his eyes. What? She's still so calm. I called you here to talk. There are no backups. Everything was on that broken phone. Ha-yoon held a glass of milk and gave a weak smile. I'm sorry for tricking you, but I have something important to discuss. Let's talk while we eat. This milk, immediately. The plate of bread flew straight into the wall. Shattering on impact, he roughly shoved Ha-yoon as well. Jongjin pinned Ha-yoon tightly against the wall. She groaned in pain. Wait. Let me explain. You're misunderstanding things. Jongjin's voice was as cold as ice. I don't care. Don't even think about manipulating me again. The girl's entire body trembled uncontrollably. Just a moment later, her body went limp and slid to the floor. Jongjin approached Ha-yoon's body, but he suddenly froze. A heavy silence filled the room as he thought, What's going on? She's clearly dead. But the loop? Why isn't the timeline rewinding? Jongjin stared at Ha-yoon's corpse, which was completely motionless. This left Jongjin bewildered. She's dead. So why didn't the loop activate? He quickly checked her carotid artery. Nothing. He was completely stunned. Jongjin shook the corpse violently, shouting, Hey, wake up. He started to panic. Who the hell are you? Why isn't time rewinding? Only a deathly silence answered him. Jongjin's pupils constricted as he hissed. Damn it. His world came crashing down. No way. Are you the time controller? How could you die so easily? What the hell is going on, Kang Minho? He can fix this. A white cat suddenly rubbed against his leg. The cat, with its two different colored eyes, looked up and meowed. Jongjin glanced at it and cursed under his breath. Annoying. He immediately turned Ha-yoon over, screaming, Wake up, come on. Wake up. He frantically performed chest compressions and CPR. Jongjin screamed with all his might. Wake up, tell me what's going on, just wake up. But the girl's body remained limp and lifeless. In despair, he collapsed beside the corpse. Please, wake up. His ragged breaths echoed in the room. Jongjin's eyes were wide and vacant. He furiously slammed his fist on the floor. All he could do was scream in despair. Damn it. The room sank into a terrifying silence. Jongjin tormented himself with regret. I shouldn't have killed her. Why did this happen? Maybe she was the time controller. Or maybe she wasn't even human. Damn it. I don't know anything. He looked down, wondering, what am I supposed to do with this body now? Suddenly, the sound of the door opening was heard. Two figures calmly walked in. They were exact copies of Ha-yoon. Zhang Jin reflexively glanced toward the door. 1. Ha Yun stuck her hands in her pockets. Her voice annoyed. I knew this would happen. The Ha Yun next to her pulled her hood down. I told you it was too soon. Now look what you've done. The council is going to chew us out again. Another clone stepped out from inside and spoke up. You should go report this yourself. The first Ha Yun smiled reassuringly. Don't be so tense. This is a huge success. Zhang Jin couldn't hide his utter astonishment. What? That's... Recognizing the familiar face, he wondered. Song Ha Yun. Zhang Jin forced himself to look at the cold corpse on the floor one more time. He fell into a crisis. Then who is this body? What the hell is happening? The other Ha Yun questioned. You call this a success? The first one replied confidently. Nothing has changed. Everything is going exactly as I predicted. The Ha Yun beside her was still confused. What do you mean enough? Let's just restart. But the first girl stopped her. No. He just tried to save someone. It's the first time he's ever regretted killing. Have you ever seen that before? The other Ha Yun thought back. No. This really is the first time. She frowned. Now that you mention it, I just noticed. Ha Yun gave a meaningful smile. Regardless of his intentions, he's the first one. We finally found the inflection point. At that moment, Zhang Jin's power flared as he roared. Who are you people? Explain yourselves. Now, all 3 Ha Yun clones turned to look at him at the same time. One of them walked straight toward Zhang Jin. She stood face to face with him. Then she threw a punch straight to his face, to snap him out of it. Zhang Jin gritted his teeth. What the hell are you doing? Ha Yun pointedly said. You just killed me. Zhang Jin was stunned. That was you. The girl shot back. That's right. You idiot. He was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? Ha Yun said. If you had any sympathy. You sure looked disparity. Were you sad that I died? Zhang Jin just shot her a cold glare. A strange light gleamed in Ha Yun's eyes. Zhang Jin was speechless with anger. You. There's something I don't understand. Spit it out. The girl shrugged. All right. First, let us introduce ourselves. The Ha Yun, wearing a face mask, slowly pulled it down. The one with glasses also smiled and took them off. Zhang Jin froze. All 3 of them looked exactly the same. Both of them waved. Nice to meet you. We are Song Ha Yun. The air around Zhang Jin seemed to thicken. He paused, trying to process the information. Then, the corners of his lips slowly curved into a smile. His hands fell to his sides as he thought to himself, at least, I'm sure she's not human. A cold wind blew past, making his clothes flutter. Veins bulged on Zhang Jin's face. So, the time controller has finally shown themselves. The window panes all around suddenly shattered into 1,000 pieces. They converged, forming sharp weapons in Zhang Jin's hands. Despite this, all 3 Ha Yun stood perfectly still, showing no reaction. The girl spoke up. Hey. Wait. Calm down. Don't go wild like you did before. I said I have something to tell you. The Ha Yun in the back frowned and explained. Actually, I'm not the time controller you're looking for. Ignoring her words, Zhang Jin's mood only worsened. One Ha Yun smiled. Don't be disappointed just yet. The one next to her chimed in. We have a proposal. The first girl added, Kim Yong-jin. The villain's biggest problem. Ha Yun revealed a confident smile. We know how to escape that time loop. This struck a chord with Zhang Jin. What, of course? It's not free. We need your help in return. The girl smiled soothingly. We can't go into detail yet, but we've decided you're the right person for the job. You've just proven it yourself. Zhang Jin remained skeptical. Did I agree? I've never helped you people. The girl explained. We've seen enough to confirm it. We have high expectations for you. Zhang Jin's eyes narrowed. His voice cold. And what if I refuse? She crossed her arms. Then you'll never find out. And you'll be stuck in this loop forever. Zhang Jin flatly rejected the offer. He replied coldly. I'm not interested. He growled. If you think you can force me like this, dream on. I have no reason to help you. The sharp shards of glass hovered above their heads as he delivered an ultimatum. Tell me how to escape, or you'll all be wiped out. Ha Yun faced the weapons. Her attitude still casual. Sorry, but now's not the time. Zhang Jin sneered contemptuously. Then there's nothing left to talk about. His pupils constricted, and his voice was a deadly growl. Then disappear. Instantly, the thousands of shards converged into a single sharp point. The glass spear shot forward, aimed straight at the Ha-Yun clone standing there. The shards pierced through the target, leaving behind a strange, viscous liquid. All three Ha-Yun clones collapsed to the floor at once. He stood there, his gaze emotionless, as he surveyed the battlefield he had just created. He slowly approached the puddle of fluid, confirming to himself, just as I thought, killing them doesn't trigger the loop. He exploded with rage, roaring, "Come out. Whether you're a god or a demon, I'll kill you, show yourself." The apartment door opened once again. A calm voice asked, "Who are you calling for?" He frowned, whipping his head around in the direction of the voice. It was the same face, the same blue hair of Ha-Yun, but their appearance this time was incredibly bizarre. The sight before him left Zhang Jin stunned, his eyes wide in disbelief. He immediately turned his face away, clearly flustered and awkward. One Ha-Yun gave a mechanical smile. "If it makes you feel better, kill as many as you like." The one beside her added, "Our copies are infinite." Realizing they were completely unclothed, he kept his head turned and growled, "What in the world are you?" The lead clone explained, "The one who flew with you. The ones you just killed. And us. We are all Song Ha-Yun." The door creaked open, revealing rows of other clones. "We are independent individuals, but we share a single consciousness." She changed the subject. "A guy just fell from the rooftop at school." "Right." Shane change. Hyun Chon is sitting unsteadily in a dark corner. He suddenly scoffs. "Is that you? Songnam, you're late. You want a taste of hell." 2. A strange light shines from ahead, forcing Hyun Cheon to frown. His whole body trembles violently. "What the hell is this? What are you people?" The sound of heels clicks steadily on the floor. The leader of that group is none other than Ha-Yun. Back with Yongjin. "Ha-Yun admit? We were the ones who did that. I left them at school." Another version of her continues. "But the accident happened right after I left." Ha-Yun laughs. "I didn't think he'd actually fall. Don't worry. He'll wake up completely unharmed." One of her selves steps forward and places a hand on his shoulder. "Jongjin, do you want to know the truth about us?" She looks at him. "Then cooperate with us. You have nothing to lose. And this is your only chance to escape the loop." Shane changed to a rooftop. The sky is clear. "Hanyun mutters. 600 million won in damages. Is it my fault?" Hanjun is in crisis. "Yesterday she said she liked me, and today she turns her back. That bastard forced me." All positive thoughts vanished. He was too tired. Exhausted. Maybe he should just jump. No. He wouldn't be alone. Those bastards. A brilliant red light suddenly shoots down from the sky. That beam of light strikes Hanjun directly on the head. The young man staggers, then stands up straight, as if he has become someone else. The entire building is suddenly outlined with energy. Instantly, the lines form a giant cube, enveloping the space. Hanjun's hair begins to float in a strange wind. His entire aura has changed completely. A sinister smile forms on his lips. "I will grant you what you desire." Back with Jongjin, Ha-Yun repeats her offer. "Help us. You have nothing to lose. This is your chance to escape the loop." A asks suspiciously, "What do you want me to do?" The girl pats his back. "A mission you might find interesting. Just wait and see." She confirms. "So you agree?" He nods. "All right. I get it. Now put some clothes on. This is too uncomfortable to look at." All three of herselves applaud in unison. "You've made the right choice." Jongjin. He calculates inwardly. Killing them over and over is pointless. I'll just see what they're up to. My only goal is to break this damn loop. Ha-Yun, after getting dressed again, walks straight to the window. She turns her head back and gestures. "Jongjin, come here. Quick." Then she points into the distance and asks, "Do you see anything over there?" He glances over. There's nothing unusual at all. Just skyscrapers. Ha-Yun holds out a small box. Inside are contact lenses. "Put them on." He immediately shakes his head, refusing. "No," she says patiently. "You have to wear them to see." He remained defiant. "I don't know what they are, but I refuse." Ha-Yun tries to provoke him, smirking. "Wait a minute. Or are you scared?" She casually reaches out and pushes his bangs up. He growls. "What are you doing?" Ha-Yun snaps. "Be quiet. Can't you even put in a contact lens by yourself?" He retorts. "I don't need it. My eyes are perfectly fine." She persists, holding his head firmly. "Don't move. Look straight into my eyes." "Hey, Don't blink. The moment the lens is in, his vision changes completely. He blinks a few times. It's a very strange sensation. Ha-Yun orders. Now look in that direction again. That building is now emitting a strange light. She asks, you see it now? Don't you? Ha-Yun looks expectant. There's someone you need to deal with. Jong-jin stares intently and asks, is that what you want me to do, kill someone else? She gives a vague reply. Well, something like that. When you get there, the scene will be a bit strange. Don't be too surprised. Inside the building, the air is frighteningly silent. A man is bowing low, his forehead pressed against the floor. All the remaining employees are kneeling on the ground. They all have their hands raised high, as if performing a strange ritual. Han-jun sits arrogantly on a chair, his legs crossed. The crowd trembles and begs, please, Mr. Lai, spare me, I'm pregnant. I just started working here, let me go home. He smirks cruelly. That's your problem. I've already explained the rules of the game. Han-jun holds up his fingers and says, I was going to spare you if you sat still until I folded all 10 of my fingers. But faced with death, you all forgot the rules. The bald man cowers. Calm down. Mr. Lai, I only have one finger left. I didn't attack you like the others. Right. What do you want? A promotion? A raise company shares? I'll give you everything. Just let me go. He crawls away, breaking out in a cold sweat. That's right. And what about my daughter? Han-jun frowns in annoyance. No one has ever dared to question me. The bald man's last finger is forced to bend down. He's horrified, realizing he has no chance left. The bald man grits his teeth. Trembling, you dare mock my hair. Immediately, the bald man collapses onto the floor. Just like that. 2 more lives were lost. The girl next to him is horrified. My love. A female colleague's eyes widen. Baldi Sangmina. You knew about this, didn't you? She reaches out and grabs a handful of the fallen man's hair. The wig comes off. The girl screams in despair. He lied to me. Han-jun claps in appreciation, bursting into laughter. What a show. It was a great idea to choose the finger-bending power. The remaining people bow their heads, whispering, this is a nightmare. I never thought I'd die playing a game. A young man screams, Mr. Lai, I can't die like this. He crawls over and hugs Han-jun's leg tightly. I'm getting married this weekend. You know that, please. Spare me. Han-jun smirks contemptuously. You fool. You still think I'm Mr. Lai. A red glint flashes in the depths of his eyes. I will kill all of you. You know why? Because you were born to die. At this moment, Jong-jin and Ha-Yun have arrived at the building. It's enveloped in a faint orange glow, but ordinary people can't see it. They both look up. Observing the strange structure before them, he growls in frustration. What is this? Ha-Yun turns and explains calmly. This is an incursion space. A parallel space-time. Illegally created, serving only the purpose of destruction. Your mission is to deal with the intruder operating this space. Jong-jin listens intently, his expression serious. Among all the ability users we've found, you are the strongest. You'll take them down easily. He glances sideways, looking annoyed. What are you people, and what are they, gods or aliens? Ha-Yun looks up and replies, I can't tell you right now. When you've completed all the missions, I'll reveal everything. Jong-jin scoffs. He growls, missions, I'm only helping this one time. When it's done, tell me how to break the loop. As you promised. Ha-Yun calmly extends her hand as a gesture of commitment. I know what you're thinking, but a promise is a promise. She orders, take my hand. Jong-jin frowns. Why? She chuckles softly. You have to hold my hand to get in. Ha-Yun glances at a passerby. See that woman over there? She's engrossed in her phone, completely oblivious to her surroundings. The orange space passes through her, but she doesn't notice a thing. Right after, the woman walks right through it effortlessly. Ha-Yun continues to explain. You see, normally, you would pass right through it just like that. This is a parallel space. Without me, you can't enter, but even I can't get in easily. You can see it because you're wearing the contact lens, but you can't touch it. Ha-Yun says as she tries to poke her hand through it. He dismisses it coldly. I don't understand what kind of game you people are playing. As soon as he finishes, Ha-Yun forcefully grabs his hand and pulls him along. You'll see once we're inside. Let's go. Zhang Jin is reluctantly dragged straight into the strange space by her. He's stunned, watching as parts of his body are pulled in like an illusion. Finally, Zhang Jin's entire foot passes completely inside. Once inside, they both immediately pick up speed. Rushing forward, Zhang Jin suddenly feels uneasy. He mutters, "What the hell is this?" Ha Yun shouts as she pulls him along. "Absolutely do not let go. If you get lost in here, you'll be trapped forever." Meanwhile, inside the building, bodies are strewn everywhere. Only one frightened man remains. Holding up his little finger, Han Jun cheerfully holds up 2 fingers, his voice teasing, "Oh, are you the only one left?" The victim trembles violently, his voice cracking with fear. "Please, spare me." He ignores him, lifting his chin defiantly. "Are you ready?" Future groom. Hearing this, the man panics and turns to flee for his life. Han Jun scoffs, making a gun shape with his hand. "Well, I've never married for money." At that exact moment, the man falls flat on his face, hitting the floor painfully. Han Jun waves, cheerfully saying goodbye. Boom. Suddenly, he sensed a strange presence and immediately turned his head to look. The large glass pane behind him shattered into countless pieces. Han Jun slowly stood up, looking toward the broken glass. "You've finally arrived." He smirked. "It's a pleasure. Oh, great administrators." Zhang Jin landed, helping Ha Yun touch down safely. She looked around and casually praised him. "Killed quite a few." "Huh. Wiped out the whole company. Impressive." Han Jun wasn't scared at all. In fact, he seemed amused. "Thanks. Is there a reward for me?" he growled. "You have no right to judge. How long are you going to stand in our way? We're just playing on our own turf." "So what?" Ha Yun crossed her arms in annoyance. "I'm exhausted because of you lot. There's a limit to how many memories we can erase. Haven't you heard about the new punishment law?" Han Jun smirked, wiping his mouth with his hand. "The punishment law has changed." "Has it?" He glanced at Zhang Jin. A new administrator, Ha Yun confidently introduced. "He's not an administrator. He's just a human." Hearing that, Han Jun burst out laughing. "A lowly human dares to stand against me." Ha Yun warned with a serious face. "Be careful. He's strong." He nodded. "Is that so? All right. Let's have some fun." Zhang Jin didn't reply. He stepped back into a defensive fighting stance. Standing nearby, Ha Yun shouted, "Intrusion target has been approved." Immediately, a burst of dark energy erupted. Zhang Jin's hair stood on end. Whipping around him, Han Jun suddenly felt the pressure, cold sweat beating on his forehead. A human with superpowers. "Are you some kind of world-saving hero?" He raised his hand contemptuously. "I only need 1 finger to fight you." Han Jun scoffed. "What a shame. I can't play with a hero. Because I'm all out of fingers. They're all dead." "You're too late." He clutched his stomach, laughing hysterically. Don't be disappointed. I still have 1 last finger. I saved this one. It's special. The moment I bend this finger, you'll drop dead." Han Jun commanded in an arrogant tone. "Come closer." "Boy." Zhang Jin suddenly leaned aside, effortlessly dodging the attack. He controlled the broken shards of glass, making them levitate just above his palm. Han Jun smirked, pointing a finger down. "So it's psychic powers. How interesting." Instantly, Zhang Jin swung his hand, and the glass shards shot straight toward Han Jun. Han Jun burst out laughing heartily. "A hero I never claimed to be one." Zhang Jin's calm demeanor, combined with the glass attack, left him bewildered. Han Jun stared blankly, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Who?" A sharp piece of glass instantly pierced right through his finger. Bright red fluid splattered everywhere. As the pain hit him, Han Jun was forced to take a few steps back. "That bastard. He deliberately aimed only for my finger." He tried to hide the pain, remarking in a low growl, "You're much different than I imagined." "That's right. Humans aren't worth saving. They're just playthings we created." Han Jun laughed maniacally, looking at his bleeding finger. "It's all just a game. In this domain, I am the master. No matter how strong you are, you can't defeat me. Do you hear me? You psychic brat Neil?" Han Jun commanded arrogantly, pressing his finger down. Zhang Jin simply remained silent. His cold gaze locked onto his opponent. The finger pointing at him began to tremble more violently. Han Jun stared at his finger in shock. His power wasn't activating at all. His anxiety was palpable as he tried to flex his finger, desperately trying to regain his power. Zhang Jin calmly raised 3 fingers. Pointing them straight at Han Jun, he screamed in panic. "You little brat. Let me go right now. Kneel. Kneel." Han Jun stammered the command helplessly. And Ha Yun laughed. Zhang Jin let out a long yawn. His voice laced with boredom. "This is getting dull." As he finished speaking, he bent the man's finger backward toward the sky. Han Jun screamed horribly as his finger was twisted into an unnatural shape. His entire body began to float. Lifted up into the air, Han Jun looked down at the ground in confusion. Completely unable to grasp the situation, Zhang Jin continued to lift him higher. And absolute terror washed over Han Jun. He snapped his fingers, and Han Jun's body was violently thrown into the ceiling, sending stone debris clattering down. He was terrified out of his wits as the falling debris suddenly stopped, pointing straight at him. Immediately after, all of it shot forward at once, embedding itself in Han Jun's body. A pitiful scream echoed out as Zhang Jin looked up to observe his condition. Droplets of dark red fluid dripped onto the cold floor. Han Jun was gravely injured, his body pinned tightly against the ceiling. As his body fell, Zhang Jin leisurely walked closer. He let out a soft sigh, his tone full of disappointment. "What a boring end." Zhang Jin turned to Ha Yun and ordered, "Kill him." She replied blankly, "We can't kill him. We synchronized with this space upon entry, so we can't attack." Zhang Jin clicked his tongue. What a hassle. Hearing this, Han Jun suddenly burst out laughing like a madman. "Big mistake. A human siding with the council. You should have chosen more wisely. You lowlife." After speaking, Han Jun raised another finger, right next to the broken one. "I never only had one." Ha Yun and Zhang Jin both turned back in surprise to look at him. He held up 2 fingers, one dangling brokenly. It was a ridiculous sight. Ha Yun unconsciously shouted a warning. "Be careful." Han Jun flashed a grotesque smile, his eyes bulging. A true villain. Zhang Jin immediately realized Han Jun's target, but he remained calm and stood still. He just turned back, shooting a sharp glare at him. At that very moment, Han Jun's pained scream rang out. He lay convulsing on the ground, his whole body shaking uncontrollably. Han Jun looked up with a sweat-drenched face. His eyes rolled back as he screamed in agony. Yujin, the girl in the red jacket, appeared in front of Zhang Jin, her hands in a very peculiar pose. Though her face was covered, the girl slowly turned her head to look directly at him. Zhang Jin analyzed internally. Another Esper, one who specializes in mental attacks. This scene brought back a memory. Zhang Jin stared intently, his voice filled with hatred. "Can I finish that bastard off right now?" Ha Yun rushed to intervene. "No. Zhang Jin. She's an ally. Focus on the invader. She's running out of energy. You have to help her." But Zhang Jin brushed him off, his attitude icy. "Let go." The cloaked Ha Yun appeared. That was almost a disaster. "To be more careful." The girl laughed sheepishly. "You're here." He crossed his arms and grumbled. "Hey Zhang Jin, you're taking it too easy. Without her, you would have been dead." Ha Yun Somi immediately tried to placate them, trying to calm them both down. "Settle down. It's okay." Suddenly, Yujin's entire body began to tremble violently. Han Jun gritted his teeth and struggled to lift his head. "You inferior beings," Ha Yun Somi retorted sharply. "Exactly. That's why we needed backup. And the council approved it." Zhang Jin, "Take care of him." He just mumbled to himself, not responding. Han Jun strained his neck to deny it. "Are you kidding me? Something's not right. How can humans have superpowers? Damn administrators." At that moment, the ground around them began to crack. A massive boulder slowly rose from the ground. Zhang Jin used his power to control the boulder, aiming it straight at Han Jun. His eyes were ice cold as he decisively pointed his finger at him. The boulder rushed forward. Han Jun lay helpless, unable to dodge. "Stop. Wait." His eyes widened at the boulder as he screamed in despair. "No." The giant boulder crushed Han Jun without a moment's hesitation. Dark red fluid gushed out from where he lay. Immediately after, the invaded space began to show signs of collapse. Cracks appeared in the space, and the image began to break and distort. Ha Yun Somi looked up. "The space is crumbling because the invader is dead. We have 30 minutes to evacuate. If we had let him escape, everything here would have directly affected the real world." Yujin collapsed to her knees, her body trembling as she gasped for breath. Completely exhausted, the cloaked Ha Yun caught Yujin. "We'll go on ahead. Your recruitment isn't official yet. so we'll do introductions later. Hang in there. Let's go. Ha Yoon Somi watched them leave, then turned to Jong Jin. Just let them go. I'll introduce you later. Jong Jin scanned the area, then suddenly asked, Hey, Ha Yoon Somi, the time loop didn't activate, because that guy wasn't human. Just like you. She smiled. Close enough. Time is currently suspended in here, so killing anyone won't trigger the loop. This space, in reality, is your hunting ground. Hearing this, Jong Jin just remained silent, his gaze distant. Change. Evening. In Minho's room, he stood by the window, looking down at the street, deep in thought. Everything is too quiet. Could it be that he's given up? No. It's possible the time loop is still running without me knowing. I have to stay vigilant. His phone buzzed with a message from his sister. It's your sister. Location 83. Junmo Park. Minho narrowed his eyes. Junmo Park. At the same time, Junmo Park was sitting in a car. Engrossed in a game, he asked casually, That thing I asked you for, is it done? The driver replied coldly. It's in that box. Junmo Park immediately turned to look for it. Where this thing? He picked up the object, his face filled with excitement and glee. The device sparked with electricity, making Junmo Park even more excited. Excellent. Good work. Keep your mouth shut around the old man. Okay, the driver said respectfully. Yes, Seer. But what do you plan to do with it? Junmo Park scoffed, glancing outside. Oh, look. It's Hayoung. He immediately rolled down the car window and called out, Where are you headed? Buddy. In Ho and his cronies walked up, starting to taunt him. Coming home from school so late, look at you. Has smirked mockingly. You little brat? You want another beating. If you don't focus on your studies, you'll end up a useless bum like me. You idiot. His whole crew burst out laughing. Meanwhile, Jong Jin listened to Ha Yoon Somi with a skeptical expression. A hunting ground. I can only kill people here. Is that the only way to break this loop? Ha Yoon Somi confirmed. Precisely. You have full authority to eliminate the target. We'll handle the invaders. The only condition is that you don't harm civilians. You may not like it, but cooperation is your best option. Only we can make you this offer. Understand. We also hold a lot of other important information. Work with us. Jong Jin. She gave him a brilliant smile. Jong Jin let out a sharp breath, wearily running a hand over his face. Who are you people? Really, when will you tell me? Ha Yoon Somi maintained her serious demeanor. Only when you officially join us will we disclose everything. Jong Jin irritably ran his fingers through his messy hair, his voice annoyed. What's next? Ha Yoon Somi took a few steps back, keeping her distance from Jong Jin, who had just proven the extent of his power. Then, Ha Yoon Somi turned around and pressed the down button for the elevator. She looked back and announced that the time had come for him to meet the other superhumans. Jong Jin furrowed his brow, his voice filled with astonishment. Other people? You mean there are more of them than just that girl? Without another word, the two of them stepped straight into the elevator. Inside the elevator, Ha Yoon Somi continued. The number of people with superpowers is increasing rapidly. Our side will be sending someone to investigate soon, but that's not my mission. For now, I want to introduce you to 4 other special individuals. Jong Jin snapped. How many are there in total? She answered calmly. According to our data, about 50 people. Jong Jin was stunned. 50 people. Ha Yoon Somi ignored his reaction and continued. They all share one common trait. They have either killed someone or came very close to it. And all of them are stuck in a time loop. Just like you. Jong Jin's eyes widened. All of them, without a single exception. Ha Yoon Somi looked up, her gaze serious. Exactly. Except for those whose powers can't cause harm, every single one of them has experienced the loop. We still haven't figured out the exact cause. Just then, the elevator stopped on the first floor, and the metal doors slowly slid open. As Ha Yoon Somi stepped out, she said, It might be a mechanism to suppress their destructive instincts. We're currently searching for the person behind all this. Jong Jin froze, his mind reeling. So many. It's very likely the one controlling time is also a human. If I kill all 50 of them, that person will definitely show themselves. As the thought flashed through his mind, Jong Jin's expression turned dangerous. The key is to act in secret. I'll pretend to cooperate, then take them out one by one. Change. Yujin had pulled her hood down and was walking along a deserted street. A strange sound echoed, and Yujin immediately looked around. It was the sound of a cat meowing. The cries grew more and more desperate. Yujin frowned. That sound is strange. It sounds like it's hurt. The sound seemed to be coming from up ahead. Yujin cautiously followed the sound, heading deep into a dead-end alley. A horrific sight greeted her. A cat was tied by all four paws to a piece of cardboard. Crying out in despair, Yujin rushed forward in alarm. Is that you who did this? Hey now? Don't move. It's okay. Just a second. I'm sorry. Hold still. Yujin had no idea that a dark figure was already lurking behind her. She carefully untied the ropes, muttering angrily. Someone clearly did this on purpose. But who? Sensing a murderous intent, Yujin whipped around with a start. Who? It was Junmo Park. He stood looking down from above, a savage smile on his face. Yujin trembled, her voice stuttering. Junmo Park. You did this. Yujin saw the electric device in his hand and screamed. Hey, let the cat go. But it was too late. A blood-curdling scream rang out as Yujin immediately collapsed. Yujin lay crumpled in the corner of the alley, her body paralyzed from the electric shock delivered by Junmo Park. What the hell are you doing? You bastard, Yujin cursed through gritted teeth, her body convulsing in pain. Junmo Park growled, his face contorted. What did you make me eat that day? Damn it. I thought I was going to die, Yujin weakly whispered, trying to pull on her hood. That was Miyakid zipper. Junmo Park didn't care. He pressed the stun baton against her again, roaring. Talk. So, how does it feel? Look at your legs shaking. It's hilarious. Just then, Minho suddenly appeared right behind him. Junmo Park. Junmo Park spun around, startled. Who the hell are you? Minho didn't answer, coldly ordering. Stop. Contrary to expectations, Junmo Park immediately turned his weapon and pressed the stun baton directly against Minho. Yujin shakily struggled to her feet, pulling her hood down low. No. I have to help him. Junmo Park was stunned. The stun baton had no effect. Huh, why isn't it working? Instantly, Minho reached out and gripped Junmo Park's wrist tightly. Minho released a current of electricity, sending it surging through Junmo Park's body and making him scream. If you touch Yujin again, this won't be the end of it. The man stammered in fear. Okay, I get it. Minho let go, and Junmo Park immediately collapsed, clutching his arm in pain. Damn it. Yujin was stunned. She watched Minho with a wary expression. Junmo Park suddenly sprang up, slipped past Minho, and took off running. As he ran, he looked back and threatened. He's going to kill you. Just you wait. You bastard. Minho just watched him go in silence, not giving chase. He turned back to Yujin. Are you okay? The girl seemed troubled. Minho. Minho quickly pulled down his mask, his face revealing clear concern. Are you all right? Are you hurt? She didn't answer, only whispering. Minho. It's really you. Can you stand? Yujin slowly struggled to her feet, panting. I'm fine. Save the cat first. Minho immediately turned and quickly untied the cat. As soon as it was free, the terrified cat bolted away and disappeared. Minho asked irritably. That guy was your annoying ex-boyfriend, right? Yujin pulled her hood down. Did Min Young tell you? He nodded. Yeah. Didn't you report him to the police? The girl gave a dismissive laugh. Just let it go. Minho's voice turned serious. Why let it go? This is serious. You have to tell your family. Yujin was stubborn. Minho. I'm Yujin Do. I can handle myself. He sighed. You're still as stubborn as ever. Aren't you? She snapped. What's that supposed to mean? Neither of them had any idea that Junmo Park was secretly recording them from a distance. The two walked back, and Yujin broke the silence. How did you know I was in that alley? Minho shrugged. I often come out here when I want some peace and quiet. The girl nodded. I see. And that electric shock? Where did you learn to do that? Is it some kind of self-defense martial art? Minho was silent for a long moment before replying. Yeah. That's right. I learned it to protect my family, since I'm their only pillar of support. Yujin narrowed her eyes suspiciously. That didn't look like self-defense. That was a lightning-based ability. Is that why the anesthetic didn't affect you? Meanwhile, Junmo Park was furiously rewatching the video of the two of them leaving. He gritted his teeth. Why do they know each other? Damn it, did you dare to break up with me because of that bastard? Junmo Park's face was distorted with rage. I swear I'll kill him. Change. Inside a noisy, brightly lit bar, Kim Woo snapped at an employee. Where are the girls? Jongmin added. They already went to school. A loud bang came from the door. He shot up. Looks like they're here. But a subordinate burst in, panting as he delivered the news. Boss, there's a bunch of bastards who are… Before he could finish his sentence, he was struck hard on the back of the neck. It was In-ho, arrogantly leading his crew inside. Hello there. Kim Woo roared. Where did these bastards come from? Someone. Throw them out of here. Chan-ho ignored him, casually grabbing a beer bottle from the table. It's been a while since I had this kind. Kim Woo screamed furiously. Are you all deaf? Drag them outside. In-ho tilted his head with amusement. Your subordinates are all lying around out there. Are they? They're all fast asleep. At this point, Kim Jun stepped forward. Hey, you brats, do you have any idea who we are? Who sent you? One of In-ho's men immediately threw a beer bottle that grazed the man's face. Doesn't matter. You son of a bitch. Yongmin jumped up, pointing contemptuously. What the hell do you think you're doing? Take off your hoods. Who are you? Instantly, another beer bottle flew straight into Jongmin's face. He staggered and fell backward, his head slamming hard against the wall. Kim Jun stared in stunned silence at his comrade's blood splattered on the wall. Quick as a flash, Kim Woo drew a dagger and lunged forward. The old man swung his weapon, roaring, You disrespectful little punks. In-ho's crew calmly dodged the attack. Showing no fear, Kim Woo's eyes widened as he glared at the intruders. Immediately, another one of them swung a long iron pipe, preparing to strike. A sickening thud echoed through the room as fresh blood splattered all the way to the door. Kim Jun tried to negotiate. What do you want? I can get you money. In-ho leisurely bent down and picked up the blood-stained dagger. We don't need money. The man trembled. Then, what do you want? In-ho looked down at him, his voice cold. We don't want anything. We just need you to shut up and die. Kim Yun panicked, his voice cracking. Please, spare my life. Without a moment's hesitation, he was finished off instantly. Red liquid spraying everywhere. Their mission complete. The group quickly left the scene. The three of them hid in a dark corner of the park, panting after the purge. Junyu pulled down his mask, his voice filled with anxiety. Our protection. Are you sure it's secure? In-ho smirked. Those politicians can only sit back and relax because they have dogs like us to do their dirty work. The money will be in tomorrow. Just lay low. Chan-ho cheered. Awesome. I'm gonna buy a new car. Suddenly, In-ho's phone lit up. He answered the call. Yeah. What is it? The person on the other end laughed. Bro, I need you to do something for me. In-ho snapped. Causing trouble again, Junmo Park quickly denied it. No. It's not like that. I'm sending you a picture. Can you take care of this guy for me? Instantly, the picture of Minho was sent to In-ho's phone. Chan-ho and Junyu recognized him instantly. It was that bastard from last time. It was him. In-ho let out a savage laugh, a sinister grin spreading across his face. You're finished. You little punk.